Welcome one, welcome all to Game and Ramble. This is the Ramble Report here with Loon today to talk the video game news and happenings as always. Loon, how are you doing? Episode 11, my friend. How we feeling? We're 11 in, 11 deep in this bitch.
Yes, it's nice that this is becoming the foundation. We found a way to make it work, and we'll
Yeah.
keep on that. It's nice, and I think we've got a good flow as well with the thing of going in with the Patreon comments and the YouTube members comments and stuff
hmm
like that. So that's a cool addition to also have. So
Yeah. Finding the footing. This is probably once again I do this far too often. I apologize, Luna. Probably should have hit you up about this off the air, but I guess we discuss a lot of the shit on the air. So here we go. I do. Have you seen? It's really the fucking bummer. When we were posting frequently, the view count was going down, but subscribers were going up.
mm,
And now we're posting infrequently. The subscribers are going down. The view count is going up. It's like YouTube is a it is really that algorithm is a motherfucker, man. I'm not like overly concerned about it. I think we just kind of keep doing what we're doing for right now and see if maybe we can. I don't know. I really don't know what the right solution is to that because you obviously want the view count to be high and you don't want to flood people's feeds and plus there's just not enough time to really like
mm.
what else could we put out there. And I definitely don't want to do multiple long form pieces of content out there where people don't have enough time to watch it. And it's just the joys of the joy. Because I saw that we had like on average we get about 100 subscribers a month or so, 75 to 100. And this month we're at uh 17. It's like,
Oh, going
golly,
strong.
what the hell?
That's almost that's almost as many as in the good old Discord. We're getting there.
Oh man. But yeah, I was gonna hit you up about that and was like, hey, do you have any ideas for what the hell we could do here to somewhat of a middle ground? Like even if I'd like to at least be at 50 new subscribers a month, something like that.
Yeah, it is difficult to balance because, like you said,
hmm
the more frequent you do it, it seems to then pendulum swing the other way and affect other things. It's just I don't understand the algorithm at all.
I
Because
don't
you'd
either.
think as well, like if I get like flooding people's feeds, there would be a negative to the actual established subscriber, but you would think that that would be the like try that would counteract bringing in new people. You'd think because then it would
hmm
push it out, but it doesn't seem to 100% do that across the board, and yeah, it's just weird,
Well,
man.
the flooding feeds thing, it works in terms of getting it out there to new people. Like so the more we post, the more new subscribers will find us and join us and all of that. And it, if we're just being brutal businessmen right here, like we have to grow the Patreon and the YouTube memberships and stuff like that. Like that's the number one priority. The problem is if we don't have new subscribers coming in, new eyeballs appearing on the channel, then we can't possibly get new people into the Patreon, into the YouTube membership. So it's like I don't really even necessarily care so much about I don't care so much about the subscriber count per se. Like I don't the number doesn't really mean anything to me because like I look at Jeff Gerstmann and MinMax and Last Stand and a lot of these podcasts who don't necessarily have huge subscriber bases, but they just make excellent content because they're funded by Patreon supporters and YouTube members or whatever the case may be, and they don't have to play to the algorithm as much.
Mm.
But it's like how do we get there? That's the big differentiator where Jeff Gerstmann left Giant Bomb, Ben Hansen left Game Informer, Colin Moriarty left IGN and Kind of Funny. And so it's like, how do we get in front of those eyeballs? That's like, it's not something that we're going to be able to figure out here in this recording. So, not listen, I'm going to go ahead and apologize up front. I'm sure y'all probably hear that in the background if I pause for 2 seconds. You
No,
don't hear it?
I don't think so.
Okay. whenever we were doing the auction that'll come out later this week,
Right?
boy, it was brutal. That AC in the background, I totally fucked up that video with the AC in the background. It is loud as shit. And I was like, oh my God. I mean, you could still hear our audio and everything. It's not like it's just I'm so nitpicky about that. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna move it
Well,
further away over
if you don't
here.
say anything, hold on. The audio bar is not moving at all.
Okay, wonderful. It was for whatever reason it was brutal in the I don't know, maybe I accidentally set it to a higher setting for my AC or whatever, but it was just so damn loud. And
You
maybe it
should
was
have
because we
known
were
something
pausing
was
a
up
little.
when your hair was fluttering in the wind.
No, but so I turned it down to low. I recorded something with Jeffrey few days ago, and I turned it down to low while we were recording, and it's 100 plus degrees where I'm at. And so by the end of the recording, I was fucking drenched. And I was like, dude, I don't know, man. I'm just gonna have to drop that thing on medium and hopefully the audio isn't totally brutalized by it. So here's hoping, guys, but I apologize if y'all do hear a little bit of static in the background. It's well, once, September hits, we'll be good to go, but really just this window between like June to late August, it is hell on earth in Alabama. So apologies there, my friends. Well, dude, are you ready to talk to the Patreon supporters and the YouTube members?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get these questions underway.
So if you write in over on Patreon or on the YouTube membership page, you can write in any question you want. Once a week, we answer your questions. We will answer anything that you submit if you join us over there on Patreon or become a YouTube member. We will answer those questions. And today we got a couple to go through. Actually, out the gate, there's my dumbass. I missed a question last week that somehow I totally didn't see, but it was Justin Parkhouse was asking like what our most prized possessions in our collection are. What are the items in our collection that are the most expensive, or just the ones we have sentimental value, sentimental attachment to? So if you want to go and I got some show and tell. I actually did some damn digging in the collection. I felt so bad. I was like, I'm gonna go through my damn collection, pull out some of the big items, the big ticket items, and talk about them real quick here. And once again, major apologies, man. I don't know how I missed that. But so it's interesting. This a couple years ago was one of the most expensive games in my collection,
Hmm.
NCAA Football 14, because EA didn't put out a NCAA football game for over a decade. And so the resellers jumped this thing up to like $200. $200 for a copy of a video game that was mass produced in the tens of millions of copies. Total artificial inflation, like horseshit. No scarcity whatsoever. And now it's back down to like 20 bucks. Anybody can get it as it should be. Another weird one. Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions and the other Spider-Man games from the 360 PS3 era. These are ridiculously expensive.
Yeah.
At one point they were like over $100. I don't know if they still are. Stupidly expensive. I love this cover though. I fucking adore this cover. It's one of my favorite covers of any game ever.
Yeah. I haven't
So
played
sick.
it's that's a gap in my gaming uh collection as it were because I was looking at grabbing them because they've added into CX a rarities tab. Dude, they're 60 each for like the bare bones, but that's like because they do them
Just the
in
disc.
that's the disc and in a case.
Oh, okay.
I will give them credit. I don't think CEX sell disc only. It does have to be required in a case, but you're talking like the amount of money that they pile on top. Like you want the manual on that, that's an extra 15. You want and it's just like Jesus Christ, guys. And it's yeah, it's like 60 each for them Spider-Man games. There's like five of them, is there not? It's like 4 or 5 fucking entries in the
Yeah,
360.
there's a
No,
lot.
man, I ain't doing that.
Web of Shadows, Shattered Dimensions, Friend or Foe. I forget yeah,
Yeah, the
there's
two
quite a
amazing
few.
Spider-Man ones.
Are those up there in price? Those are horrible.
I don't think they're in the 60s. I think they're in the 20s. 90s.
Okay. Still up there.
But yeah, no, like you said, it's a lot of it is artificial inflation because like when they it's why I kind of like resented a little bit with the backwards compatibility program because they brought in games and they would shoot up in price as well.
50 Cent. Yep.
The fucking the fear games, dude. I didn't know that
Oh, are
they were
those up
about
there?
to. I didn't. They thankfully came down. I didn't know they were going to be backwards compatible. It was one of them things where a video popped up on YouTube and I was like, oh, I've never played the fear games. Okay, they're like 10 each. Okay, yeah, sure, I'll buy it on that. Looks like a fun series. And then they made them backwards combat like a month later. And then I was like, holy shit, I'm glad I grabbed them because they're all on eBay, they're like 80 each. And it's just like, it's such a predatory hobby at times, man.
It's insane, dude. And so some of these actually I'm looking now because I was going off memory when I was grabbing these.
Hmm.
Some of these are a little bit less now than what I remembered because this Disco Elysium on the PS5 at one point was up there in the like 100 plus territory, which was so weird to me. But I don't think it was mass produced. Yeah, I got it from I am 8-bit. So maybe that makes a little bit more sense there. But yeah, really, I think that's my most expensive PS5. I could be wrong. Once again, I don't really collect for value or anything. Like I don't really care about that whatsoever. I just buy the stuff I want to play, and if it goes up in value, cool. I'll sell it later. That's kind of my mindset, or give it away. I don't have like a set plan on what I'm gonna do with my collection. I'm sure I'll end up, selling it at some point, but we'll see. Um,
I'm gonna quickly grab a few
Def
bits.
Jam, Fight for New York. Yeah, go ahead. So Def Jam Fight for New York on the PS2, this one's really, really expensive. I'm going to do some research as we're speaking here. Fight for New York on the PS2 is sitting at close to $200. And then on the original Xbox, and I'm just looking at eBay here, so some of this could fluctuate. So it's around $100. So it's $100 cheaper on Xbox. And back in the day, man, you could get these things for absolutely nothing. EA big games, I mean, any EA game, honestly, you could get for $5 back in the day at a GameStop or mom and pop shop, maybe $10, $15, but no money at all. The Punisher has gone up in value crazy. It's somewhere floating around $70. Um, let's see, the Punisher on PS2 is sitting at 85, 70, 90, 99. And then on Xbox, I'm sure it's going to be much cheaper. That's why I really recommend collecting for the original Xbox. It's such a good console and it's yeah, $50, $60. So you're talking about $30 cheaper on the Xbox. I love that original Xbox console. And then we got two more right here on the OG Xbox that are so much cheaper on the original Xbox. Silent Hill 2 and Silent Hill 4 so much cheaper on the OG Xbox. And that's such a it's cool to see that because like I keep the price tag on my games so you can see what I paid for them.
Jesus Christ, that is a
$20.
steal in today's market.
Yeah. Back in the day, man, the good old days, it's I tell these war stories all the damn time about hitting the flea markets early in the morning and just even going into retro shops and seeing everything that you could possibly want sit there. But well, I should say everything that I could possibly want because I kind of got in at the perfect time with collecting where I got in while everybody was going after NES, SNES, Sega systems. And I was like, I don't really care about any of that shit. I just want PS2 and OG Xbox and like that was my top priority. And so I I was able all of those systems, everything was bottom of the barrel, so cheap. And yeah, it was a wonderful time to collect games. And Silent Hill 4 as well. Those are both up there and really expensive on the PS2. This is the one I will say, this is my worst pickup of all time. And that is Silent Hill Shattered Memories for the PlayStation 2. I regret this game buying this game more than I regret buying any game ever in my collection. it was the one time that I, fell victim to the whole FOMO thing. The prices were rising. I got it at a horrible time when it was up there close to like $200. And I just wanted every Silent Hill game in my collection. That was the only one I didn't have. And here are the others. Silent Hill, and I got the 360 ones and PS3 ones, Origin, Silent Hill 3. So the Silent Hill games are all up there in value, but Shattered Memories was the one that I was just like, man, I know this game's not good. I don't really have any desire to play it. I still haven't played it, and I bought it for 200 fucking dollars. Like that's the type of shit that those type of moves are why I got out of the retro game collecting scene because I could see myself kind of going down that FOMO spending money on bad games. And I'm not even saying necessarily a bad game, but would
For
I
the
rather
for the
spend
price that was, it's the type of thing where it's like that should never be that value. It's only that value
exactly?
because it's fallen into that retro tab. They're not being printed anymore, and somebody's deemed because somebody has paid that value. That then sets the market price for everybody else to pay that value.
Well, and it's also the thing too, right? Where you how to word this? Like if I'm gonna pay $70 for an old, let's say Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions, or I can pay $70 for Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. It's like I'm not Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions is awesome, but I would just much rather pay the $70 for the new thing. That money is actually going directly to the developer and not a reseller. Like there's a lot of the economics behind it where it's like, listen, I'm not Loon, you definitely know. I'm definitely not the one to say to judge anybody for how they make their money. You make your money however the fuck you're gonna make your money. But if I have an option to support the people who are actually crafting the thing or the people who are just taking a thing, buying it for cheap and selling it for more, I would rather support the people who are actually crafting the thing and we can get more things that are similar to the thing that I like. That's just yeah. But those are kind of my stack of goodies. Nothing that's sentimental to me at all in my collection. I don't have a single game that is from my youth at all. I got rid of all that stuff.
Ooh.
Whenever the PS3 came out, I traded in all my PS2 games to GameStop. Whenever the PS, I did that every single generation. So it's that's always been kind of my mindset, and still to this day, I have a little bit of that lingering in me, just a little bit of cheapskate somewhere in me.
Um, yeah, it's the type of thing I think I like many people fell victim to, as you do in your youth. You end up selling your games,
Hmm.
and I do kind of regret a lot of that. But it's the type of thing like you regret it now because you're looking back on it at like the values and stuff of what you'd have to get back. But in that moment, it was the right thing to do because otherwise you
Absolutely.
wouldn't fucking play anything else. I'd still
Well,
be
yeah,
playing Lego Star Wars.
and I don't know. I kind of think that like I don't know, man. It to me that is sort of the move I would still rather make. Like if knowing what I know now, I think I would still trade in my PS2 games to buy PS3 games. Like
Yeah,
I wanted to play those more. And I think still to this day, if that was the new thing, I would want to play those more. Even if I knew that those games were going to eventually go up to $200 a game or $100 per game or whatever crazy price. It's like, I don't know. I want to play Heavenly Sword.
no, exactly because that's what I'm saying. Of like the value sting hurts because obviously you would want them things back into your collection because they meant a lot to you, or you'd want to replay them and stuff like that. But I'm thinking back to you would constantly rotate games in and out because that was your way of experiencing it. You didn't have money to stretch. You're a kid. So I'm thinking back to times when I've traded stuff in, and there were things that you traded it in, and it was you got something a hell of a lot good out of that. I remember playing Mass Effect for the first time via a trade in,
Man, always
going
worth it.
going through the fucking like we have both of us behind us as if it's a shop, just going through and being like, "Oh, that sounds cool," and then you pick it out and you're looking at the back cover and you're like, "Okay, I could go for that," you know, Star Wars kind of feeling. let's go. And then you end up hitting that, and because I think the very first collector's edition. Let me go quickly grab it so I can show it.
Yeah, you hit it up. Yeah, it's I don't know. I think the memories are more important than the value in a lot of ways. Like I would rather have the memories of being able to be there on that PS3
So
launch or
this isn't
360
anything
launch.
extravagant, and this isn't the first. It's not really a collector's edition thing. I remember getting games with gold and playing Deus Ex: Human Revolution for the first time, and that's kind of where I fell into like that kind of like bite where it's like, oh, I need to actually keep games. Like I want the to own them. And I remember leaving college and then stumbling upon this. I don't know if you've seen this
Yeah, fuck
thing.
yeah.
It's a very unique way. Like I wish they did more editions like this on Xbox because it's like hard cardboard. Um, and I remember being like, man, I love Deus Ex Human Revolution, and it's Square Enix did this for Sleeping Dogs, I think, as well. They did like a
Yep,
cool
they
little
did.
unique um, collector's edition kind of thing. It's not really a collector's edition; it's just like a special edition. Comes with like an art book and stuff like that, and it's I don't know. It oozes flavor, which kind of fits with the game as well because I feel like the game oozes a hell of a lot of flavor. But like, it's not even expensive to own at all. But it's one of them things where that's never gonna leave the collection at all. He's digging out the sleeping dogs. I think I might have it. Let me go grab it. Because they did this one for the Xbox One, um, which isn't a direct comparison, but it's kind of a cool. It's like an actual hardcover book built in with the CD, which is nice. And then there's the art book in there, which is really cool. Wish wish Square didn't dump their Western developers, because they made some of the best ones of them special editions. I think he's trying to find it. Are you looking for this?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know where the hell I put it.
So it's a little bit different. I misremembered it slightly, but it's the thing. What I was talking about is Square Enix when they had their Western devs, they made really cool special editions.
Hmm.
Very unique. Like no other game company did their stuff like this. Like you had, I remember distinctly for the 360, you had Microsoft's first party. You had the. Do you remember the tins? The fuck it. They did one for a
Oh,
Halo 3. They did one
yep,
for Mass Effect. What awful. Gears of War.
yeah.
I thought they were terrible because it was the thing of they had these little plastic covers and they would always tear, break, chip, and stuff like that. Um, yeah, I have two more. I'll quickly go over. Of course, Baldur's Gate 3 got its
Hmm.
physical. I don't even know what this. It had a special name, whatever the hell it was. The big box thing comes with a bunch of goodies. Just glad to have it as a physical and it actually releasing on Xbox. Holy shit! Like if they would have genuinely missed out on that. We talk about exclusives having pulling power. That probably would have made me keep my PlayStation if that was like completely off the table and that wouldn't have come. That could have been the catalyst for change. And I'm
Yeah.
kind of a little bit sad that we're doing this now because it's what is it July?
Hmm.
In September, the limited run did a bunch of Yakuza ones, They all got delayed.
Ooh.
They're all coming to me in September, all in one
Mm,
bulk. I would have loved to show them because they look so cool. I don't know
that'll
if
be
you've seen it.
fun.
It has the thing. There's something that I also love when you're doing collection for spines. The artwork is meant to like work across the spines and create like a
Oh
full.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's
Yeah, I love that style of shit as well, man. That's Limited Run had something recently that I wanted to buy. Oh yeah, the Personas.
and then the Persona ones, of course. Everybody knows I'm a big fan. I don't think I'll be able to open this. It says the contents there. Tons of shit in
Yeah.
it. And then I definitely and then the Persona 3 one. I don't think that has it
Oh
on. Oh yeah, it
yeah.
has it on the book. I'm not gonna open that because I don't think YouTube likes guns being shown.
Gotcha, gotcha,
And
yeah.
there is the evoker from Persona 3.
They strapped up in Persona. They don't
But
fuck around.
man, like yeah, the every now and then I don't know if you still get it, but like when them Persona things came in, it felt good. It wasn't just the fact of it kind of took me back to my youth of like having something tangible there that had effort put into it. It's why I give like my hat tip to Microids who put in
Mm-hmm.
effort to their physical releases because I don't think they release multiple versions. They're just their standard release is
That's the
just one
standard,
that
yep.
has a shitload of effort put into it. And like
1000%.
no shade to these developers and stuff, but like Hogwarts Legacy, you get
And that's even more than some.
two p like you get it's like come on man like it's and that's kind of just the standard that's been set. You get like a little warning of saying don't eat the disc, and then that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. They know their audience.
And yeah,
Um Man,
so I don't. Yeah, it's. I think because like when we've talked about like if you'd ever sell the thing, I've always said I wouldn't ever sell up. Um,
oh, I definitely will. I know that's a shitty thing to say, but like if the right price came along, like if we're
no.
talking six figures, this shit's gone. Gone, gone. Because my thing is like I don't, and once again, back to the whole idea of attachment, I really don't have attachment to anything in this collection. Like it's I just like the games a lot. You know what I mean? And I like owning them and I like the ability to flip them. Like if a time comes, like I want to buy something, use something, and then it have value for me later on to put it towards something else or to, lend it to a friend or whatever the case may be. But like $100,000, I'm damn near getting close to like retirement territory. Like a couple $100,000, like shit. All right, cool. I can buy a house, rent that bitch out, and there's extra $1,000 of income coming in, and that's. I love these games, but I sure would like to retire a whole lot more.
Yeah, I think I'm much more sentimental in the fact of because there's titles behind me that are awful, that are actual dreadfully awful games, or that I don't like. But the way that I view it is in the same way that I view my like Xbox profile. It's a history. So I look back on some of these titles that are all lined up there and stuff, and you look at there was a moment in my life where that was a genre that I targeted and stuff like that, and I just kind of like keeping that around us. To me, they have left impressions, and that's probably because I care way too deeply about certain stuff that others probably wouldn't, and keeping attachment to that. But yeah, it's I don't think I would ever part with it because they each tell a story for me. In the same way, like I said, with the that's why I fixate on why I've stuck with Xbox as well, even though with PlayStation their shift and becoming the big powerhouse kind of thing, it's like, well, that's where all my history is. That's where all everything I can look back on, I can scroll all the way back to like 2008 and be like, that is your footprint. And
Yeah.
that's the same
No,
with
I feel it.
the games collection. Like I can look over there and be like, yeah, you purchased some of them, didn't you?
Hmm.
They
Yeah.
each tell
No,
a story.
I love the aesthetic of it for sure. Like there's no doubt that that's a I would be really bummed out to walk into this room and not see that. But I've thought about like just downsizing because I've been wanting to buy a new house, like an actual, stick built or brick house or something that can withstand a fucking hurricane and not have to, panic too much. But I've actually thought about it more lately, and I'm like, dude, trailers never used to go up in value, but this trailer has gone up in value since I bought it. I bought it for, mid 50s, mid $50,000 range. Now it's like 70, close to 80. Can resell it for shit. Sell the shit for close to $80,000. I'll grab a damn camper, invest the additional money. Like I don't I've just as of late, all I've really been thinking about is like how the fuck can I get rid of things to make room for retirement quicker? Like that's really like how can I invest as much money as possible quickly to just have a because it would be so nice to focus on this thing like 100% of my time. I think that would be fucking dangerous. If I had good internet and could really focus my time into this channel, like, I don't know, man. N- not to sound arrogant or whatever, but I, these motherfuckers ain't, they're not, they might be smarter, they might be more knowledgeable, but they're not going to outwork me. I know that for a fucking fact. So it's like, I think we could really get this thing going. But at the end of the day, um, yeah, I, uh, I like my game collection. I definitely it would hurt to part with it for sure, but I have been thinking about it a lot more lately than I ever have in my life.
I will say though, a bit that what you're talking about with space as the final thing for the this particular topic. Them going that PC route and really pushing physical out, it has a certain particular positive and benefit of it. It's going to be saving me space
Hmm.
because when they've announced that and they've gone in heavily, like I just they're doing an ultimate game sale kind of thing. There's a bunch of titles I probably would have picked up physically that are cheaper to get digitally, and it's just like, well, they have Play Anywhere, so like it's even if they cut support for the Xbox, so they'll bring it forward with the PC stuff, so it doesn't hurt and
Yeah.
sting as much. So yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think that is gonna because there's what two. I don't think that'll turn into free. What do you call it? Bookcases behind me. The two that are there. I don't think that'll turn into a third one there. I think that time is past.
I feel that. Yeah, I feel that. So Justin got that one down, but we also, I'm not gonna, I was like, hey, write in, ask another question. We're not gonna fucking limit you to I fucked that up, so feel free. And so he wrote in, what was the game that made you think this is it? I am a gamer for life now. So like what is that moment that was like, yep, this is the hobby. This is my passion. If I can possibly do anything to waste time, it's going to be sitting here and enjoying the video games opposed to watching a film, reading a book, whatever. Like if that's for me, it kind of goes into a few different realms. PS1, Resident Evil 2, that's really the game. And then I fell off of games around 2010-ish in high school. And then I picked back up with The Wolf Among Us. And The Wolf Among Us, that was when I was like, yep, whatever the hell is going on with narrative development, whatever has evolved since I have been away from games, like, holy shit. I didn't know you could just make all these different choices and have all these different outcomes and have these weird, classic characters that we all love and know, Beauty and the Beast and this, that, and the other, and they're all in fucked up scenarios. Like, what is going on? Games have gotten darker. Games have gotten more agency has kind of been put into these games to make you feel like you're having an impact with what the choices you're making. And so I just kind of sought out everything in that realm, your Mass Effects and into your Dragon Ages later on and into your Quantic Dreams games. And I played Fahrenheit or Indigo Prophecy back in the day, but it just, The Wolf Among Us was like such a proper evolution of that. And I don't think Telltale gets enough credit for removing almost all of the bullshit from the adventure game genre and just focusing on like one key thing that really makes it stand out, which is the storytelling, the choice, the impact, the characters, like those things that I think people really connect to adventure games more for than like the pointing and clicking or the puzzle solving or the I'm gonna walk around and do some really tedious walking sim style scenarios that nobody really enjoys. So they were just so good at cutting out the fat
Yeah.
and yeah, so that was the game that got me back into it. But I've loved games pretty much my entire life. And even when I wasn't playing games in that high school run, I was still playing all your GTAs and your Saints Rows and your Far Cries and your every single NBA 2K, every single NCAA football, every single Madden, every fucking Resident Evil. Like I still played a lot of games. I just in the PS1, PS2 era, I was nonstop playing games like Blockbuster every single weekend. And my cousin had games galore. And we were just games galore. I wonder if that's a channel name. Games galore. I'm going to look that up. Loon, take it away.
Yeah, I think we fall in a similar vein. With I don't think I had the drop off that you had. I've always definitely once it got its fangs in me, it's been a consistent part of my life. Just frequency changed and shifted. But the first time that kind of made me like pay attention to games where it was because I played like I had a PlayStation 1 for a short period of time, but that was novelty. The type of thing where like you'd give it to a child, you're playing it and you're not taking in any information, you're not invested. I remember playing one of the Mortal Kombats that was on there. I didn't progress, I didn't do anything. It's just you're in a fight and it's just like, oh, that's kind of cool. Um, but going to my uncle's house and them it was probably I think it was Vice City. I think I've told this story before. And they were all playing it and it was like them as adults, like they were engaging with the game as how it's meant to be played, and then they all like, oh, I'm gonna go get a drink, I'm gonna get a snack or whatever, and they hand me the controller, and there's kind of like the murmurings like, should you be giving a kid the controller, and they're like, yeah, it's fine, don't worry about it, it's not like he's gonna go on a killing spree. And it blew my mind that you was able to, that was a world that you were exploring. I didn't have the capacity to interact with that world, so I just jumped on top of a car hood, and it blew my mind that the car was just driving, and it was just taking me around the city, and it made them like laugh. It was funny to just watch that of just when you give something to somebody and they don't have the capacity to interact with it in its intended form, it can make something out of it, an interesting scenario. And so that was like my first taste. And then I remember getting a PS2 for Christmas shortly after that, a few years after getting into the Lego games and stuff. But when I think of like, you're talking the true moment where it was like a light bulb in your head and you're like, this is for me. This is like the peak of entertainment. And it was my first interaction, I think, with online play, which was Rainbow Six Vegas 2. And it fucking blew my mind. And I remember it's the thing of where you end up attaching yourself to it because it comes with a memory as well. I remember not I shouldn't have been awake that late. Like my mum had fallen asleep on the sofa, my dad was at work. I wasn't meant to be on it. It was like that, oh, I'm gonna go to sleep. Make sure you shut it off by like 8. I was still playing at like 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
And it just blew my mind that because I'd played part of the story and like, yeah, you can be tactical in the story and stuff like that, but it's just you against AI. You hop in, you have the mic, and it's like, holy shit, I'm talking to 3 other people. This person's turning around saying they live in Vancouver. This person turns around and they're saying they
Yeah.
live in like DC and stuff. And we're all communicating, but all exchanging just random shit. And we're all playing the game collectively. And it's just like, yeah, just mind blowing. I think that was the moment where it was just like, yeah, this is for me. And then that spiraled into, yeah, obviously the big Call of Duty buzz and stuff like that, but also just being like, I wonder what else you can get from gaming because it can't just be like multiplayer stuff because I've played other single player stuff. And like you said, when you go through and like when I picked up Mass Effect for the first time, that was like, holy shit. Deus Ex, and that you just attach yourself to these IPs. So
Yeah, it's so interesting you talk about the playing till 3 in the morning when you're supposed to go to bed and all that. And it's so funny how that was a thing back then when the consequences were so irrelevant. Like you could stay up till 3 in the morning, go to school at 7, and like there was no, you didn't, I mean, you felt a little bit groggy, whatever. But like if you do, it's weird how now we have the freedom to do whatever we want. I think about this a lot because I often think about like I don't ever really feel like an adult, even though I'm 30. Like I'm a full grown fucking man. And like I still will do stupid ass shit like play Eric's Home the Stolen Dream until 4 a.m. And I'm like, why did I do that? Because I know I got to wake up at 8 a.m. and I'm not 12 years old anymore. I'm 30 and I feel like fucking shit when I only sleep 4 hours and I go and like, and it's not like you felt like shit back then too, but you feel like you're going to die when you've only slept like, 3, 4 hours, whatever, 2, 3 hours. Like you feel like an emergency is brewing. And it's like, why do you do this? There is no game that's that good that's worth that amount of sleep loss. Um, yeah, it's that is just a I don't know that made me think about how wild that is. That back in the day we could just stay up till whatever time and you pop up ready to go to school the next day. You play at recess, you eat a peanut butter and jelly and chips and awful fucking food. Your diet doesn't matter. You have no digestive issues, even though you're eating shit that probably isn't meant to be digested by humans, but you're just it's like what is going on? It's so wild. Yeah. Anywho,
the cheat code
we're
of
already.
youth we envy.
I swear. You know what I think the name of the show is Game and Ramble, I guess. But I we don't play. That's the fucking problem. And I had a full rant about this with Jeffrey on the I don't even know what we're gonna call it, something about reminiscing about the early 2000s, I think is what we'll call it. Um, it adults should be playing. That's the fucking problem. When we were kids, it's not that our metabolism was through the roof. We were outside for 10 hours a day. We could eat whatever we wanted and felt great the next day because we needed every bit of fuel we could possibly put into our body because we were just going and grinding and fucking sweating. And like you were outside playing basketball, football, soccer, whatever you were playing, you were just going, going, going. And you needed to replenish yourself. And now it's like we were sedentary and yeah, it's a really weird thing that that's not emphasized more to adults. It's like the whole get out and play an hour a day. Like that's for everybody. That should be something that everybody needs to do, not just kids. Like just because you hit 21 years old, that doesn't mean you should just sit the fuck around all day. Like that's horrible for you. You're no shit. We have an obesity problem.
Yeah, and it's kind of it's difficult because of the way life is structured.
Yeah,
They like you you have to be very very picky with them hours and be very smart, and then because obviously when you're a kid as well, you're all on the same schedule. So it's
true.
easy to line things up. It'd be like, yeah, let's go to the park after thing. Yeah, because you all have nothing to do.
Yeah.
You should probably be studying, but who does that? Um, and you'd
But
play
just
like
that
football.
hour.
Yeah.
Just find that hour as an adult. And it's even tough to do that. Like it really is
Mm,
so fucking tough.
yep.
Yeah. It's so crazy, man. It bums me out really bad because like I not to get into some sentimental horse shit, but I don't think enough like proper care is given to adults because like you enter into adulthood instantly and like you don't really know what you're doing. And so you're given all the freedom in the world to do whatever you want to do. And so you just fuck up nonstop until you realize you shouldn't do it anymore. And like then you're 280 pounds and like what the fuck? I gained 70 pounds in 2 years. It's like get out and play an hour a day, motherfucker. Like that saying still that's not that doesn't have a cutoff. Um
Yep.
yeah, because man, I remember I got up to close to 300 pounds. And I was like, how did this fucking happen? Like, what the hell happened? Sedentary job. No more recess. No more backyard basketball. Like, figure it out, bitch. That's
Yeah,
really you get thrown into adulthood and that's it. It's like figure it out, bitch. Kill yourself or survive. And I was like, I guess I was going pretty quickly to the kill yourself route. Those damn Big Macs and strawberry pies from McDonald's, the large fry. Sometimes I'd even grab a damn Oreo McFlurry with it as well. Let's see.
damn.
Um, so did you hit what was the game that made you think this is it? I'm a gamer for life, like Mass Effect, just kind of a combination of things. You pretty
Yeah,
much said that you
it'd
have
be
been
Vegas.
locked in.
Vegas 2 was like the big eye opener, but then like for solo games, it probably would have been Mass Effect 1, Deus Ex, Human Revolution. I'd also say as well, this was a lot later down the line, but Dark Souls. Getting bit by that and understanding what it meant for that to be special. Because it's the type of thing of like, I don't know if you feel this way sometimes. When the internet collectively turns around and goes, this is amazing, my mind kind of rebels a little bit against it, and like I think you're probably overblowing it. It's like when you don't jump on
Bro,
that bandwagon. I'm stubborn in that way sometimes. It's just like you guys are being probably a little bit generous or over the top and stuff like that. And I remember jumping into it, and then a lot of people have this where you jump in, it's brutal, and it's just like, well, it's just brutal for the sake of being brutal. What the fuck? Like, and then you bounce out. You're like, well, this is not worth. And then when you actually do take the time to sit down for say like a weekend and actually really push through that like difficulty curve, difficulty spike kind of thing. Because once you get over that first hurdle, it is the a lot of the systems are trivial because you just understand what it wants you to do. And it was just like, wow, this is actually like it's the thing of like I didn't get to experience like you said like with Resident Evil 2 and stuff like that. Like I didn't have them kind of experiences, so that was kind of probably because that's the almost inception of it. I know Demon Souls came before it, that didn't really make an impact on the industry that Dark Souls did. That was my like eureka kind of game of seeing it at its birth and infancy, and then seeing where it's gone from now. Obviously with Elden Ring and stuff, it's crazy to see the fire that burnt, spawning its
you,
own
you
genre.
yeah, you talk about the fan base kind of killing a game, like making you less interested in it. I'm gonna be honest with you, Loon. You know what fan base I'm starting to hate?
JRPGs,
No, but
CRPGs.
it's a JRPG that came out this year that's not a JRPG.
Oh, Expedition.
Bro, them motherfuckers, that is crazy. So you'll see like Gene Park posted the other day something on Twitter where he had like I don't even remember what it was. He was like, I have a new game of the year. The Donkey Kong's absolutely fantastic. Loved Expedition 33, but this just kind of took its spot, whatever. I love Death Stranding 2, but and like you don't see any Death Stranding 2 people down in those comments, and he gave like equal shade to both of those games. It's a flood of 33ers. And they're just like, it's no, this game, it runs at 720p. It's like, bro. And it's not like, listen, I don't actually hate the Expedition
It happens
33
every
fan
year.
base, but
There's
it,
always there was always because I remember Elden Ring, that was pretty bad with them fan bases and stuff like that. They were hunting people down. It felt like trying to. I think people get a little bit too. It's like I get the investment
yeah.
because it is it's your love and your passion and your fervor, of course. Like when we talk about what our game of the year is, thing like it may like I brush off Split Fiction probably more than I should, but it's because I love Expedition 33 all that much more. But that doesn't mean that I don't project saying that shouldn't be in contention. That's the big thing. Like you said, with how the Death Stranding fans did it, it's just like, like
Just
they just,
such a normal group.
yeah, it's just like they're like, yeah, our game. This at
It's
least
weird.
this at least it's on the docket and stuff like that. Um, yeah, yeah, fan bases are very strange.
It is. And it's so interesting like which fan bases end up being, you know, like that's a video well, probably not. That would drum up so much controversy, but that would be a video in and of itself of
Fan
like
bases we
ranking
hate because you
ranking
hate
fan
us.
base. Yeah, ranking fan bases based on their toxicity levels or some shit where it's like I don't think the 33 fans are like that. They're just so passionate and I just every time I see a tweet that's like praising another game, it's like I see a flood of these 33ers and they're
Yeah,
just
I,
it's like, guys, it is a great game. I fucking love that game too. Everybody loves that game that played it. It's undeniably great, but like other games are great too.
I will say the only thing I will like give understanding to, when like they're the people who have been screaming at Square Enix to do a turn-based JRPG for Final Fantasy, and they're the people who have been told that they couldn't have that. It wouldn't work. It will never be successful and stuff like that. So it's the kind of thing where like I understand that this is their kind of, they're allowed to be like see kind of thing, like point fingers back, but it's
But to what
but
degree?
no,
It's like
that's
it
my
sold 3
point.
million
Yeah, no,
copies.
that's my point. That's my point. It's like within moderation, guys. Like I get it. I'm there with you. Like I would like to see some of these games return, and clearly they can be successful.
but but they
But
can't. Like that's the and they can, but it's like that's the thing that's so crazy to me is like when you see people who are saying well, clearly Expedition 33 is more successful than Final Fantasy Square. This is what you wanted, right? It's doing better than Final Fantasy 7. It's like, no, it's not. Not on any planet is it selling better than Final Fantasy 7. It's selling really well, but Final Fantasy 16 sold like 2 million copies in a week or whatever. It's like they're not it's yes, and that's on one platform. For sure I agree that 33 is an incredible game. And if somehow Square Enix could find 40 people to make a game that's on that caliber, that's the thing I just doubt. I doubt that
yeah,
Square Enix would be able
no,
to
because
develop a game that's that
they
good.
don't work like that. Square Enix don't work on a slim thing. I think it sold more than Metaphor though, which is why they're kind of puffing their chest there. Because Atlas is, Final Fantasy isn't known for turn-based anymore. They've morphed their identity. Atlas has stayed true to the turn-based thing. So when you're outdoing Atlas's brand new IP, I can see why people are very like see kind of thing. So yeah, like I said, but it's within moderation, man. It's just yeah. I don't like when other fan bases hunt down other fan bases. I've never liked that
Yeah, it's so
because it's the
crazy.
type of thing of like it's well known by now. There's two specific, like Sekiro. I do not like at all. I wouldn't ever like whenever people turn around and go, "Oh, my favorite Soulsborne list," and they include Sekiro. I don't. There's some people that get very upset that that gets included and stuff. It's just like let people just be happy. If they want to
Mm,
include that on their list, FromSoft made it. It's a little bit different in formula. It's all
yeah.
down to perspective and stuff. Because that's something that I also noticed as well. Sorry to even further drag this out, but genres are so loose. I don't think people quite understand that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And like, don't get me wrong, I can be very rooted in some genre cases and stuff like that, but I always take that step back of like that is my thought process, but I can identify other people's thought processes. Because I think I've mentioned this before of we had a big discussion of what it actually means to be a visual novel in the Discord and how varied even just that term is. Like there's games where people are adamant that it can only be text on a screen as a visual novel, whereas other people are saying that no, you can have more to it than that, and it still fall under the flag of a visual novel. I can't remember what it was, the title that was used. Oh, I need to quickly look. That's gonna bug me. It was a Polish
Yeah.
studio. Came out
I
recently in the past year, I
I
believe.
wouldn't have any idea. That's not my necessary wheelhouse. But yeah, the genre thing is interesting because to me it's like I've seen it a lot with horror where people are like, well, that's action horror and that's survival horror. And it's I I get it, guys, but and if you're just saying it to like clarify something, or if you're just saying it to even clarify is like too strong, but if you're just saying, okay, well, here's my favorite action horror games, here's my favorite survival horror games, but if someone says, Dead Space is my favorite survival horror game of all time, and you say, well, that's actually if you technically actually that's an action horror game, technically actually, it's like, dude, you got to go to the locker. I'm sorry, but you're getting thrown in the locker. And there's not enough locker throwing. Once again, when you become an adult, you run out of
Nobody
lockers to
wants to
throw
die.
people in.
That was it. That there was people that made thing, and it can be classified as that when we were breaking it down and stuff. And it was really interesting to see people's full processes and stuff like that.
Wait, hold up. I'll push back on that. Nobody Wants to Die, the first person, people think that's a visual novel?
That can be considered a visual novel. Yeah.
What about
I
it?
If you go, I'll try and forward you. I'll dig it up, the little conversation thread, because it's the type of thing of where when you just throw that out there as a comment, there was a lot of pushback. But when you peel it back and we got into like a deep discussion, yeah, there was a lot of people that like, okay, yeah, I can see where you'd pin that down to an angle and stuff. It was a
It's so
really
funny.
interesting conversation.
I just said I was going to throw people in lockers for saying, well, actually, and then well, actually, nobody wants to die. Everybody's
In you go.
hypocritical and
But no,
everybody's
but that
horseshit.
just perfectly is the thing of, genres are very fluid. They're not
Hmm.
they're not in like the like early 2000 things where games were only doing one thing, really. Like a lot of games
Right.
were truly just platformers. That was all they did. They didn't do RPG mechanics in their platformers because it was a platformer. You jump and you collected coins. That was it. So,
Everything is everywhere all at once
mm.
these days. Sean Ward writes in and says, what element of game design do you think is undervalued when evaluating a game's quality? Or, in other words, what is the most invisible but essential ingredient in great game design? This is, I love this question because I think it's such an easy answer for me. I'm really curious to hear your answer. I'll throw mine out there out the gate. It's restraint. It's being able to look in the mirror and go, okay, what do we really have? Like, what is the thing that we really have in our game that's really good? And what are we trying to do that might not be that great? How do we cut that? How do we focus on our strengths? Do we need this to be an open world? What about our open world is interesting? Do we need this to be 100 hours? Is our story really, really worth 100 hours? Is the player going to be more invested in our story if it's 20 or 30 hours? Is that 80 hours filler for the sake of filler to make them feel more invested with their purchase? Like those type of things. I remember Dying Light 2, they made the claim that they had like a 100-hour game or whatever.
Yeah.
And there was such pushback because everybody knew it was like no Dying Light game needs to be more than 15 to 30 hours. Like it just doesn't make sense. And then you look at something like Alan Wake, Alan Wake 2, and you see the level of restraint. Like they have all the same pretentious horseshit in those Remedy games as like a Kojima game or whatever.
Mm.
But they cut it down to such a fine, I mean, that thing is so streamlined. And there is such little fat. Like I can't think of a single thing in Alan Wake 1 or 2 really where I'm like, yeah, that was a waste of time. There's things I don't like,
Mm-hmm.
but like just things in there that are time wasters, not really at all. And when I can look at a game and go, yeah, you genuinely did not overstay your welcome by 1 minute. If anything, I wanted a little bit more out of you when I put you down. That is truly a example of a game that understood exactly what it needed to do. It totally had enough self-awareness to see what it needed to provide to be the best version of what it could actually be. Um, Yeah. Shout out to Remedy, man.
Yeah. I
Do you want me to read it one more
yeah.
time?
Can you give me the quick so that I make sure I don't screw up my answer? Make sure I'm coming
Yeah.
at it from the right angle.
What element of game design do you think is undervalued when evaluating a game's quality? Or, in other words, what is the most invisible but essential ingredient in great game design? So, my answer would be self-awareness, restraint, self-awareness slash restraint. What is the most invisible but essential ingredient in great game design? Good wording there, too.
Yeah. I don't know how I'm gonna word this. I don't think I'm gonna nail it as well as the question. So creating a foundation that's repeatable, but you don't pay attention to that. It doesn't become
Mm,
apparent. So what I'm thinking of is how RGG do their games. You don't care that they're reusing assets because the assets are so good and they're utilized so well. And the same with uh, obviously new age Capcom with Resident
right.
Evil games, like reusing that stuff. The reason that they've been able to put out quite a few Resident Evil games and why RGG's been able to put out quite a few RGG games is because they've been smart with that. Um, there was I can't remember where it was. It was I think it was on Twitter. I saw somebody post a picture of comparing the generations and stuff, and we're talking about like, look, modern gaming's great and everything, but you're talking we got GTA 4 and GTA 5 on one generation, along with Red Dead Redemption, LA Noire, like tons of Rockstar property. They don't do that anymore.
Hmm.
And
Think
that's
back
not
to
even just a dig at Rockstar. That's across the board. Like you're talking in that 360 generation, you got three Mass Effect games.
think back to PS2
Yeah,
Rockstar. GTA 3, Vice City, San Andreas, The Warriors, Bully, Manhunt, 1, 2, Midnight Club, 1, 2, 3. Crazy.
yeah. And it's you're talking these generations. They were able to in the example of Mass Effect. You're able to establish an IP and finish it in a trilogy
Yeah.
in a generation. You can't do that anymore. It feels like for a lot of
And
these studios.
the player would be able to finish it. Like
Yeah.
they were all 10 to 15 to 25. Like it was, yeah, it really is crazy.
Yep. And that's the thing. Like, don't get me wrong. The turn-based Yakuza games definitely push it up for playtime in comparison to the standard ones. But you're talking, for the most part, they're even still doable and stuff like that. And yeah, that kind of just being very smart with your resources because we're seeing the what's the word, the repercussions of just letting budgets get out of control. Like
Mm.
studios are sinking. You're talking this is going to be foreshadowing. I'm sure we're probably going to mention it at some point, but like Virtuous, like they were doing so well supposedly, and yet they're still suffering. And all of these other companies, they like Hi-Fi coming out, yeah, really well, and then they shut it. Like it's just it's really unfortunate to see things just mismanaged. Like I just prefer things to be managed well. Um, so I guess that's more on the development side more than anything. But that's something
Totally.
that bums me out that we don't get that kind of thing. Like you're talking as well with that was the 360 PS3. How many Uncharted games you got? How many Infamous games you got? How,
1 through
like
3. 1, 2. Like, yeah, it really is fucking crazy, dude. So crazy. Back in the day, I mean, you had the what, 3 Jack and Daxter games on the PS2, 4 Jack and Daxter games on the PS2. I could be wrong. So, yeah, but yeah, and then now Naughty Dog's going to go a whole generation without releasing a single game because it's going to take them 10 years to develop Intergalactic. Like, it's wild.
and it's like I appreciate when they do come out, especially with like Naughty Dog. You know it's going to be good, but I'm going to put my hands up here. I because I've been thinking about this. I mildly resent gaming for going like as mainstream as it did because it's made it suffer in this way where they've fixated on making sure everything is cutting edge, like it was with film, like pushing, making sure everything's a blockbuster hit and stuff like that. When things weren't as driven to that, you were given a little bit more leniency and creative freedom. And I remember the moment I knew, like I realized this and I could see it unfolding in front of my eyes, is when towards it was probably about midway through the 360 generation, towards the tail end of it, linear became a bad word to use in the gaming.
Right. Yeah.
They non-linear. It's open world. Why was
Yeah.
it so? It was such a negative connotation to the point where you went through like a lot of the beginning end of the PS4 generation where they weren't doing any of them games, and we're still seeing that feeling now, where people are struggling to get these games back into people's hands because they've been conditioned to, if it's not 50 plus hours, I don't want it for the casual audience. I want my money's worth because that's what it is. You see a lot of people turn around and go, well, what's the dollar to hour ratio? Why do you care about that? Like, it's the thing of like,
Well, to some degree, right? Like there is some limit on that. Wouldn't you say? Like if it's 5 hours, $70, it's like that's a little tough, depending on guess what you get for the.
for
But it,
70, yeah, but like, even just, I didn't leave bitter after Resident Evil 3's remake. That was brief. And Resident Evil 2's remake. They're very quick games to beat,
yeah,
but they're just full of quality and they're just good. So like, uh, to me, there's very few games that would be that short and be just bad. I
Hellblade
don't.
2,
Sorry.
Hellblade 2. Would you say like $70? Like I do think that game is a prime example of something that, which it wasn't 70, but I'm saying let's take a look at it from that angle of if you put something like that out for $70 full priced, I think that there would be, I don't think you would be able to sell something like that.
I don't think a game like that would be ever priced at 70. Personally, I don't think they would get away with it. It's and because I don't like with Resident Evil 3, that wasn't 70. That was 50 over here or 40.
I think it was 60 here. I think that was a full price game over here.
Oh no,
I could be
that's
wrong.
full price here back for when it released. Obviously, prices have
Yeah.
risen and stuff, but I don't. Yeah, with Hellblade 2, I don't think because that's getting a PlayStation port this year, right? Have they
Hmm.
released the price what they're asking for it?
I don't think so, but I think back in the day it was only like 50 or 60 or something.
So if they have the balls, I would happily criticize them for that if they released that for 70 because yeah, that's bordering on absurdity. But for like 50, it's if it's a game genre that you like,
Hmm.
that's a game price. That's just to me that I'm still in that mind. It's a standardized game price. So as long as you
Yeah.
end leaving with a positive taste in your mouth, that's all that matters.
Hmm. Yeah, no, it's priced at 50. So not too bad there. Yeah, it's just you said something to the effect of just when talking about the whole idea of the non-linear thing.
Mm.
I really wish that would be focused in a different direction now. I love the idea of non-linearity. I wish that there was more talk about like non-linear narrative, like non-linear narrative experiences, stuff that you can, I think to like Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild, I really love those ideas of like seeing things spontaneously and or even non-linearity. Like I think about something like Mass Effect, where it's not a very structured directed story and maybe even broadening out that of what that could be like Judas with the narrative Lego blocks of being able to see things in different orders based on the choices you make. Like I think there's a way to do non-linearity narratively that could be really cool but also not need to be this 700 plus hour bloated open world mess that has a bunch of absolute nothing inside of the open world. Like non-linear narratives is something that I wish we saw a little bit more of.
Yeah, it just seems like we're in that struggle phase because you have a bunch of games that are trying to step foot in that realm, like Banishers and stuff, and they get burned. It feels like they dip their toe in it. And it's like, wow, that slapped us in the face. Well, we're not going back there then. And that it's so punishing now. Whereas you would have back in the 360 where you'd be able to pump out free Risen games and stuff like that because it was made on a much leaner budget and yeah, they didn't sell huge amounts, but they kept the studio afloat. Now it sinks studios in that same vein. You saw it with Elix.
100%.
Elix 1 came out, and then they were like, "Oh, that sold okay. Let's go big and go high." Did you see that? Have you seen Lords of the Fallen, the reboot, the budget that had? And they're only just now claiming that they're going to be breaking even soon with that. That's
Mm.
absurd. That's
Yeah, I
crazy
saw
town.
that guy. He was on Sacred Symbols Plus, the director, like the CEO of the studio. I don't know what his position is, but it's the guy that's been doing all the like anti-woke stuff on Twitter for Lords of the Fallen. And he was like kind of just straight up on Sacred Symbols Plus. He's like, yeah, I think that this is kind of like a, he didn't say this directly, but it was, you can take it pretty,
It was
I,
alluded to.
it was pretty much alluded to. It was like, yeah, I think that this is just it's kind of like a way to market the game. It's like just appealing to, if you think that's the audience that is attracted to your game, then appealing to them. It's like I was like, damn, that is a very honest, direct. Uh, because you see so much of like the grift or whatever you want to call it, on either end, like just people who just will not say anything that is outside of their echo chamber. Like they want to be propped up by their echo chamber, so they don't risk ever stepping foot outside of that. And it's like, yeah, you're in a cult, buddy. But it's the I really appreciated the transparency where it was like, once again, I'm paraphrasing, but it kind of felt like he was so matter of fact about, yeah, people people are taken to this sort of me and my anti-woke shit, and
Because
now the
it
game is
shifted
performing well.
because it shifted copies when he started doing
It's
that.
crazy.
So, hey man, success. You got to get
Yeah.
there, otherwise you sink.
And listen, there needed to be a downturn, no doubt. Like that's the nuances needed in conversations. Like it did get to a point where it's like, Jesus fucking Christ. I mean, you can't bitch about every fucking thing, you whiny little babies. And now it's like you see Shane Gillis did the SBs, and like there's some correction there where it's like, yes, you can make jokes that are offensive, and if they're funny, people are gonna laugh. It's always been that fucking way. Anybody that ever tried to tell you otherwise was in a cult. Real people, I have a friend who is so far left leaning, so fucking far left leaning, and I make her die with the most vile fucking humor. And then once again, not to like, I'm not gonna. It's the thing where if you're recording something that's going to be put on the internet, like I'm never gonna, a version of me. Like nobody really, like I'm not gonna get out here and fully be. Nobody is fully themselves when they're. I think I'm probably. I think we try to give you as authentic a version of who we are as possible. Like we don't do the. I was about to throw a wild stray for no reason, but we don't do shticks. Like we don't do, we're the angry guy and we yell, and like
No,
we are just ourselves, but
no,
you're
it
not going
is
to hear
our
me say
personality,
some crazy joke.
but it's still it's a personality mixed with. It's gonna sound stupid, but professionalism to a degree. It's the
Right.
difference of like what I never understood is if he's a comedian like Shane Gillis and the flack he got for saying that he's a comedian, that's his job to tell a
Right.
joke. That's a big difference. I would be criticizing if it was a news anchor
Hmm.
doing something like that. Like there's a level of acceptance for each thing. Like if you're all like yeah, it's just common sense, really.
Yeah, and it's the weird thing where we're not the news anchor type, we're not the comedian type. So it's like, what do we fall into? And it's like,
We're the
I'm not.
dumbasses.
Yeah, you're never gonna hear me saying some wildly offensive shit on any publicly recorded thing other than probably you could go through old fucking tweets when I was a teenager or whatever and it'd be like Jesus Christ. But like in terms of as an adult, you're never gonna I'm not gonna fall for that shit. I've just seen it done far too many times. But every normal person in the world laughs at Dave Chappelle and Shane Gillis and laughs at all of these fucked up jokes. Everybody still thinks they're funny as long as they're not ill-intended, and you can totally tell ill intention. Like it's that shit was so overblown for so long where it was like, dude, y'all are so you're smelling your own farts with this canceling that. Get the fuck over yourself. Funny shit has always been funny. It always will be. um and then but to the other side, like why the fucking what is going on? Why I've had crazy energy lately where I just start going off on these tangents that have nothing to do with what we're talking about. But it's like it is still to me it's the corniest shit in the world where it's like every single thing that you're talking about is some sort of, you know, I don't know what the you all get it. Everybody sees it. Whenever the if your whole shtick is this one thing of being, I'm mad about the woke, I'm mad about the anti. It's like get the fuck over yourself. It talk about something interesting. If that's the only thing you can find that people will click on, then you are the least interesting person on the fucking planet.
Mhm. Because
All right,
it's even wilder because a lot of it as well, a lot of it's fake energy. That's not their actual
totally.
personal beliefs. They're just it's the easy way. Because you
Yeah.
know that you can just we could switch this on next week and just be very aggressive, very negative, and just fixate on one thing, and you'd lose everybody that you built. But boy, oh
Yep.
boy, you would build up some vile community that would stick with you for the end of the earth, and they'd defend you on whatever you do. It doesn't matter. You had criminal charges, they'd follow you into them fights. It's crazy.
And it's the thing that's wild is like if you were doing that, you'd have no respect for your audience. You know what I mean? Like if you were
Mm.
somebody who is riling up people, making people angry, if you're somebody who's constantly playing because you know they're stupid. And I'm just going to be completely real. Like you know they're dumb. And you're smart enough to know how stupid they are that you can put out the same horseshit content every single week with the same clickable fucking thumbnail, the same clickable title, woke DII killing the games industry. And it's a picture of something that's on fire with like either a face or, just flames engulfing some fucking some person of color or some shit. It's the most vile shit you've ever seen. But it's like, that your audience is dumb enough to click on it every
Mm.
single fucking video. And it's like, hey, I guess you're making some dough, but at the same time, you have no respect for your audience whatsoever. And so I don't know. I I respect our audience a little bit too much to fall into the doldrums of the cesspit of humanity. But that's just me. Make your money however you see fit.
Oh, well, if you
And
insist.
yeah, OnlyFans, Gaming Ramble, OnlyFans, 9.99. Sign up. Sean Ward says, if you need another for this week's, is there a game that changed the way you see the world, even in a small way?
Ooh.
This is, for me, this is Plague Tale Innocence,
Mm.
the first Plague Tale game. And it's just spoilers kind of a little bit, but you have to like lead a pig to slaughter in that game at one point. And you don't think about how like the food that you consume, you really don't think about it. I'm eating a chicken tender. It's like, yeah, I guess something died for this. You're eating a fucking hot dog. Yeah, sure, something died for this. But you don't really think about like the actual thing that fucking died for it. And after doing that, I listen. I still love a hot dog. I'm not saying I'm some. I'll still grub down on a hot dog, but at the same time, after seeing that, I was like, damn, man, kind of makes me not want to.
It just makes you more
Like, I'm not.
conscious of it. It's the thing of what was it? The how it's made documentaries and stuff where they would show people, and you had a massive influx of people that would go off certain foods, and they end up turning vegan and stuff. And I kind of, it's the type of thing like
I can see it.
I wouldn't do that myself, but I can understand why, because when
Yeah.
you see it in action, it's understandable. It's like, yeah, it's brutal, man. You think all of that when you go into a supermarket, all that packed meat, that's got to get there somehow,
Yeah.
and it ain't friendly.
Yeah. Yeah. I I could go vegan 100% if I could find where to get good protein. And I guess you get the powders and shit like that, but I just don't think synthetic protein is as like beneficial for like the digestive tract and for just your overall amino acids and like all of that shit. I don't know anything. I'm a fucking see right there. I was about to say I'm an R word, but I can't say that publicly on the YouTubes. But I, you know, if I could find like, and I guess they have grass-fed protein, or I don't know, but like, my only vice is sweets. I love sweets, man. Cheesecakes and donuts and cookies. Like that's my shit, dude. I could live off that. And all that stuff's vegan, but it's just horrible for you.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to. I'm way too meat based. I'd say like 90% of my diet is probably meat, so I
But
wouldn't be able to
what
do that.
is yeah. Is there a game that changed the way you see the world though? In any way, small, large?
That's so difficult. That could be tackled in so many different ways. Um, Damn. I guess I'll give my tip of the hat to Kojima. I suppose with some of the stuff that he touches on, I don't think it
Yeah.
necessarily, because we was talking about it before. We hopped on here. I'm going through Death Stranding again, just reading through the notes, and obviously that AI did exist. It's existed for a very long time, but not in the capacity that we've known it until now. It wasn't to that strength when Death Stranding first initially came out. It wasn't the powerhouse. Some of the stuff he writes about is scary. It's again, like we said time and time again, it's scarily accurate to predicting how the future will go. And just reading through them notes and just being like, damn, that that is eerie. So it is when I see stuff like that, especially from him. I think he's probably again like he's the master of doing that. He seems to be very plugged into the direction that the world is always seeming to go. I don't know what he has a time machine or some shit or whatever he's got, whatever crazy superpowers. But he always seems to be that one extra step ahead, raveling it up in some crazy tale with whales and other crazy shit that he likes to throw in there. But yeah, it was really interesting reading through that. Obviously, Metal Gear is very powerful with some of the stuff that's touched on in the past. But yeah, it'd probably be something like that.
Yeah, I mean, he probably made me a conspiracy theorist back in 2000, legit back in 2001 with Metal Gear Solid 2. I don't think I'd really ever had that sort of information fed to me before that point. You know what I mean? Because I mean, at that time I would have been what, 7 or so. I don't know if I'd ever watched any movies that really touched on that stuff. And like I remember sitting down and talking about it um with my cousin, and we were like he was explaining to me the plot and stuff. And then my best friend was a mega Kojima fan, still is, I think. I think he's still into Death Stranding, but um and we would like dissect the this was a little bit when we were older, but like we would, talk about those stories and talk about like the meanings to them. And we're probably in middle school, and that's the point where we're like kind of being like, oh damn, yeah, I think our government probably is pretty fucked up. I think they probably are doing some really, really shady shit. I don't think that those thoughts ever even hit my brain until Metal Gear Solid 2. And, even touching on AI at that point, and
Yeah.
he was, yeah, social media, and he was just so ahead of like, yeah, whole idea of blackmail. And he was just, yeah, really, really, really always on the visionary, prophetic side of storytelling for sure.
Yeah, and like just to briefly put in there as well, just respecting, give the tip of the hat to Remedy, man. Like some of the stuff, the way that they're able to blend everything together, it made me take music in gaming a hell of a lot more seriously with
Mm,
how they portray it and stuff and how they utilize it. More importantly, because before that, it's you'd have like a soundtrack here or there, and you're like, oh yeah, that's cool. Like with sports games when you're in the menus and stuff like that. But actually, weaving it into a plot and making it essential to executing that scene, it really is special.
100%, man. Yeah. Next up from Patreon, we have Garrett Sharp, who says, "What is a game company that could become the next household name?" I fucking love this question as well, man. So the one that hit my mind instantly was Kepler. I think their track record as of late is almost impenetrable. Sifu, Scorn, Chia, Ultros, Pacific Drive, Cat Quest 3, Flintlock: The Siege of Dawn, Bionic Bay, Clair Obscur Expedition 33, and Rematch. That's their entire publishing history. I don't think they have a single miss. And they have Rematch and Clair Obscur just this year, which are probably the two breakout hits of 2025, like two of the top five breakout hits of 2025. Pacific Drive was excellent. Cat Quest 3 by all accounts was excellent. Ultros was supposedly really good. Chia was solid. Scorn was solid. Sifu was one of the best games of the generation. Like they have an eye for just finding talent and being able to see the vision and getting that vision brought to, your console, your PC, and having it I'm assuming being hands off enough to fund these projects without overstepping. I don't know their whole business dynamic, but just their track record is, yeah, kind of astonishing. What a run in 3 years.
Yeah, I don't know who I'd choose, man.
Warhorse. I think that Warhorse is probably like if they get away from Kingdom Come, I think their next thing could be massive. It'll never be I because I was wrong with Kingdom Come. I'll straight up admit that. I thought Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 was going to be 20 million copies sold juggernaut. And it's big. It's not on that level. So I think that,
Do we have
and with how good,
sales?
it's
Early
the
sales?
sixth best selling game of 2025. So it's like behind,
Do we have total
Assassin's Creed.
units yet though? Like tallied up?
No, but
Okay.
you can kind of, because what was it? Assassin's Creed, the last number they said was 3 million copies sold, something like that. Or maybe it was five. So but it's behind that. So you're assuming probably 4 to 5 million copies sold. I don't know. I should actually look that up.
I think because I'm fairly certain it was a relatively similar situation with that first game, and it's the thing where it gained units over time when they started slashing sales. I think in a year's time that it's going to get like a second wind. I think they've noticed that of when they put, like pump out the DLCs and stuff like that, and you slash that price really deep, it makes it palatable for people to come in, and it kind of gives it that keep pushing it kind of thing, keep it in the sales charts. So I think that could be the thing.
I was
I
thinking by like the end of 2025, hitting
oh
20, like another Hogwarts level six. I was thinking they were going to break through on that level, but it just doesn't seem like that genre, or that setting. I don't think is ever going to be like, unless it's Rockstar making it or just some crazy take on the medieval, that time period.
yeah, it's also difficult to convince people. But when you tag a two on the end and stuff like that, it does. make people stop at the door a little bit and be like, do I need to play the first one as well? That's why, like, with the, you know, sorry to keep bringing it up, but Expedition, with it getting, when you start from the beat and you get that momentum, there's no barrier of entry of, oh, do I have to play the previous game? Because there is no previous game. Something like
Yeah,
Hogwarts
there is.
Legacy and stuff like that.
There's 32 other games.
Oh yeah, no, my bad. No, no. There would be more than that. Learn
Oh
your
yeah,
game
true.
lore. It
Oh,
started from
Jesus
a
Christ.
100.
Find a locker and insert yourself. But like
um,
you think about Resident Evil 2 was bigger than Resident Evil 1, Silent Hill 2
yeah, there are
bigger than
some. Yeah,
Silent Hill
like
1. Yeah.
The Witcher 3, obviously dwarfing the
Right.
the
Mass
previous two
Effect
games
2.
and stuff like that. That like it can happen, but that is a rarity. A lot of people
Hmm.
usually get, because you have like Final Fantasy VII Remake sold a shitload
Right.
more copies than Rebirth, and a lot of people think Rebirth's a better game in many regards. But yeah, that's just how it is. Um, I don't think Warhorse is going to be. I'll throw my hat into the. I don't think they're going to be that next CDPR because I think they're so entrenched in Kingdom Come. I don't think they will try and rock that boat. Like if you've got a winning formula in this day and age, it's really really risky to rock that boat. Like if they went and yeah, we're going to make a purebred fantasy game, and then that fell to pieces. It's really difficult, man.
Did you see they
Um,
started up a new studio? And so they now have two like Warhorse studios that are going to be working on separate games simultaneously. I think that might be the lane they go, where they just get out a little bit more output.
that's how you
Um,
should.
yeah,
That's how you should. You should either go that route or what Larian did, and I think that's where I'll throw my hat in. I think Larian are going to be that. I know they broke out with Baldur's Gate 3, but that's when you're considering every other game developer, that is an anomaly in their portfolio. Like Divinity 2 and Divinity 1, they were very successful, but not to that level of success. Like I think whatever their next entry is, it's going to blow the doors off. I think it will do even better than Baldur's Gate 3 because they've gained people's attention now. It's the type of thing of like when Rockstar exploded in the way that they did. Like once you get people's attention, you can go anywhere. Like you can convince somebody to play Bully because it has your name associated with it. You can convince them to go play LA1 because it has your name associated with it. I think that's Larian's next step. I think they've been so incredibly intelligent with just all of the moves that they've done, and I can't wait to see what they do next.
what do you think about Saber? I think of
Saber's a
Saber.
yeah, Saber's a sleeping giant along with Owlcat as well, of course. With
Yes, that's
with
that's
them
the
being
one.
so smart with keeping their footing in grounded territory of being very smart with their CRPGs but not overbiting. And now they've put themselves in a very strong position to be like, we can overbite now. They've done again, like I know I keep bringing it up, they've done what Larian did. You make yourself a cushion in this day and age because if this Expanse game fails, yeah, it's gonna hurt them, but I don't think it'll sink them because they have that. Rogue Trader did so well for them, sales wise, for what it is, and for the budget. Like it really did well. Like you're talking like for me and many others, like we still think Wrath of the Righteous is their peak gaming. Rogue Trader dwarfs it in like sales. Like they did really really well. So I'd
Well, and
say
it's
Owlcat
like
as well.
I think that that's the perfect answer, dude, because if they are able to hit with this Expanse game, because it's looking like maybe I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I pray I'm wrong. But it looks like that other ex Mass Effect. What's the name of that game? Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah, I can't
Damn it.
remember. I remember it being pointed out. Yeah, I'm like,
Yeah, I'm really excited for it. But the other sci-fi Mass Effect coded game, it's looking like that might be in a little bit of trouble. We haven't heard anything from that in quite some time. I think they might still be doing Q&As for it and shit like that on their YouTube channel. I need to go check. But yeah, I definitely want to play that. But if that Expanse game gets to market before I know the name of the studio is Archetype, but I can't think of the name of the game, which is so weird. But If that next Expanse game or the next Owlcat game, the Expanse Osiris Reborn, I believe is the name of it. If that gets to market before Archetype's new game, and it gets to market before the next Mass Effect, which it definitely will, I mean, that has 10 million, 7 million copies written all over it potentially. If, big if, it's good. And you've talked about before their games launching pretty rough. Console players aren't all that tolerable with super buggy releases. So that's going to kind of be the question. PC players will, eat it up, but if it launches rough on console, I don't think it'll
Yeah.
do well. It'll still do well on PC, but like, is that enough for just massive mainstream success? I think Baldur's Gate 3 is a big example of, oh, it hit console, becomes a massive, massive thing. And yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's the thing that you have to get that smash hit success. It needs to be a smash hit success on both fronts
Mm.
in this day and age. Like you can have something that dominates on one front and it still is kind of up in the air. It's kind of like I don't. It did really well on PC, but maybe didn't do so well on console and vice versa. Um, they do need to. I really hope they don't botch that launch because its first impressions count, man. Because there's gonna be so many fans that they don't know their previous work. They don't care
Yep.
about Rogue Trader. They don't care about Path Wrath of the Righteous because they're not CRPG fans. So that is it. That you have one shot to make a first impression.
Another great example of that in Exile with Clockwork Revolution
Mm.
will no doubt be their biggest game, the most eyeballs that they've ever had on a product. And they only have one shot, and that is a fucking ballsy, ballsy, ambitious game that they're trying to. I mean, that's the first time they've ever stepped into this space. And I mean, they're not trying to hit a double, they're not trying to hit a triple. They got the bases loaded, they're up to bat, and they're trying to knock that motherfucking ball out the park. And I hope they do, but it is very ambitious, very risky. Um, I call me crazy. I think CDPR is still. I think Cyberpunk 2077 could have been like a 80, 70 million copies sold style game if it wasn't dog shit at launch. Because we're seeing it's outpacing The Witcher 3 by like drastic numbers.
Mm.
And I think when Cyberpunk 2 launches, if they learn their fucking lessons and if that thing comes out on a PlayStation 7, whatever system that it's on, and you can boot the game up and play a fucking really, really polished version of a CDPR game at launch. I think that I don't I know it's crazy to say CDPR because it's kind of like you said earlier with Larian. It's like they've already had their success, but like I still think that I think they're almost playing in the minors. Like I think that they have potential of like unbelievable success because of just how talented they are. So
Yeah, because people seem
could
to
be another
forget
one.
as well. Obviously, The Witcher 3 is a household name now, but The Witcher wasn't always a household name. And on top of that, it was also a game that released in a pretty bad state when you go back and look at the very, very, very first launch day. Like, there was a lot of people criticizing it for problems and stuff like that. And it's the type of thing where it sold shitloads of copies over time. And it's the same thing with Cyberpunk. I think the thing that hurt Cyberpunk the most is the whole PlayStation thing. When it got pulled off of stores, that's a massive black eye. Like
Yeah.
that's the dominant console platform that's not selling a game. Of course, it's going to impact sales and stuff like that. And that's why they're obviously you're seeing it constantly still giving updates. I think it just literally had an update in the past
Yeah.
week, and that's boosted its sales, no doubt, drastically. So what I will say is I will believe it when I see it because
Yeah.
because like I said, a lot of people have come in late and think that Cyberpunk is their first fumble. They kind of fumbled The Witcher 3 as well to a degree, to a much lesser degree, but it was still a fumble. It's the thing of like I'll believe That when I see it, they're very ambitious developers, and they just need to be smart. And hopefully, they're. I assume The Witcher 4 will be their next title. I doubt that they'll push anything else out before that.
Bro, I
But
love
we'll
doing
see.
this. Like I know that's so corny to say. Like just in the middle of a like this is so fucking fun. This is so awesome. I appreciate you for sitting and talking video games with me, man. It's such a nice it's just such a nice reprieve from the rest of the world. But damn, Jesus Christ. Fucking I gotta get on some testosterone or something. I'm turning into a bitch. Um uh
You
okay.
got to get more meat in
That's
your diet. That's what it
I
is. It's
did,
them
yeah,
fake
talking about
proteins.
going, yeah, Jesus Christ. Lord knows I don't need to go vegan. Dye my hair blue. Um, so the best-selling games of all time list. I think so The Witcher 3, Jesus, dude. The Witcher 3 is at 60 million copies sold,
I was actually about to guess
putting it
60. Cool.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Putting it as the 12th best-selling game ever, that sounds crazy. But regardless, damn near top 10. I think that Cyberpunk,
What number does it need to hit to get into like what's 10th the number?
Red Dead Redemption 2 at 74 million.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so it's about, 14 million away. Or
Nah, it's gonna
yeah.
easily hit that because what they've also done is that I don't think just people aren't taking into consideration that this is also getting another life on the Switch. That's going to contribute to themselves. It's going to keep selling, and it's going to have an even longer life. Cyberpunk on the Switch. It's kind of had that second wind that The Witcher got with
Oh
the
no,
TV
my bad.
show.
I'm talking about The Witcher 3. The Witcher
Oh,
3
okay,
is at
okay.
it's 60 and Red Dead is at 74. Red Dead's number 10 of the best-selling games. Cyberpunk is at 30 million copies sold. Obviously, it- it came out what 2020, so it's had much less time on the market.
Mm, damn, that might actually not make it.
And also, like The Witcher 3, you got to think Red Dead 2 came out after The Witcher 3, so Red Dead 2 is still selling. It's about to get a PS5 and Switch 2 re-release. The Witcher 3 already had its PS5
I
re-release.
But then you think of what happens with the gaming industry when a new release comes out, people buy the previous one. So when The Witcher 4 comes out, there's going to be people who go out and buy The Witcher 3 and reinvigorate that before Cyberpunk 2. Yeah, I don't think man, that's tough. That really what the PS4 that pulling it from the store, that was its massive with them. It's I empathize with them. That sucks. You should have obviously released a product that wasn't causing that to happen. You should have
Oh
released it
yeah,
in a much,
totally.
much, much better state. But yeah, that really hindered its growth because I think if it just released in just a playable state, even in its that current form with the features that it had, that they were fine. They were serviceable. I think people would have latched onto that just fine, and it would have sold shitloads.
Well, dude, and it's also the thing where it's funny, you start doing this podcasting shit for a while. I notice my own little horse shit. Whenever I'm trying to buy time for my brain to start working, I go, and dude, and that's the thing as well. And then I'm like waiting for my brain to do its like I see the loading screen in my brain. Um,
You got to go through your
but
Mass
no,
Effect elevator scene in your brain.
yeah. I have a
Garrus,
couple of
tell me
those.
something.
But see, they got The Witcher 4 and Cyberpunk 2 actively in development at the same time. The Witcher 3 is at 60, and that's why I put CDPR on there, is because I think that they still like The Witcher 4 might not be as successful as The Witcher 3, but it's gonna be somewhere in that realm. And then I think Cyber, because The Witcher 3 is kind of like the magnum opus. Like it actually all came together for them. And like you said, had a rough launch, but it all kind of ended up coming together. And it's like, holy shit, how do you get better than that? But with Cyberpunk, it's like, oh, you can get a lot better than that. Like the, even now at this current state, it's kind of crazy some of the shit that's missing in an open world city based. Like, why are
Look
the
at
police not chasing me? And
look at the improvements they even just made with Phantom Liberty. That
yeah,
whole 2.0 thing, like that's night and day different. And when you genuinely look back at that 1.0 launch, you're like, wow, they why were some of these features missing? That's crazy. And people
yeah,
didn't criticize them for having their missing features. Yeah, I think Cyberpunk has the greater ceiling.
yeah.
Um, but I will say I think The Witcher 4 is I think it'll equal The Witcher 3 in sales because what we got to also keep in mind, and this may be a wild take potentially, gaming numbers, player base, they're constantly growing. At the end of the day, population growth is always rising. So there's going to be more gamers in 10 years than there were 15 years ago. So I think
Hmm.
it'll just even just from that just sheer force of numbers that increase. I think that'll help it.
Yeah.
And
No,
fantasy is a
definitely.
lot more easy, seemingly, to convince people to buy than sci-fi for whatever reason.
Well, talking about sci-fi, my final prediction on this, Remedy in their Star Wars game. I think that's going to be what breaks them out. I really do. I don't listen, I'm not saying I don't think this because I there was that interview with the what was he the gameplay lead gameplay director whatever. He up there, but not Sam Lake up there. But he's senior talent at Remedy. And they asked him like what his dream project would be, and he was like, "I think we'd do an awesome Star Wars game." And listen, that doesn't mean they're making a Star Wars game, but it
You kind of
does mean that
curveball me with that. I was like, did I miss like an announcement? I was like,
no, no,
holy shit,
no.
they're making a Star Wars game.
But it does at least mean that they've talked about it. Like, or it
Yeah,
does at least mean what I would assume is that there's no way that podcast got out there, and I think it did decently well views wise. I don't feel like there's a scenario where somebody at Disney, somebody at Lucas didn't get word of that and then look at Remedy's track record, look at the crazy level of storytelling, and then just take a 2 minute look at the gameplay of fucking Control and be like, oh Jesus, can you just like connect that dot to the Star Wars IP? Can we
yeah,
just take Remedy and throw Star Wars on? Like you're talking about instant millions and
because
millions and
that's their missing piece. They make
yes.
incredibly well crafted, polished products.
Yeah.
Their fan base is just minute because they're just
Hmm.
they. I still personally I still don't understand it. I can't my head can't wrap my head around it. How you have games like God of War, Spider Man, Horizon, all these sell shitloads, Days Gone even selling shitloads and shitloads of copies, but somehow they seem to struggle. And it's just like I don't. Why are people so adverse to Remedy? I really truly don't get it. And
And
that
he was
feels like the missing piece of like if you tie yourself to a juggernaut IP, that is it. Because that's kind of Larian made their game great because it's Larian's DNA, but they tied it to Dungeons and Dragons, the biggest, arguably one of the biggest, I should say, fantasy IPs. I'd probably say Lord of
mhm,
the Rings edges it, but Lord of the Rings hasn't had a game in what, how many years? Like
right.
Dungeons and Dragons has still remained relatively relevant. Um, Man, they need to make another fucking Lord of the Rings game. That's what they need.
They do, man. Unfortunately, that is under the Embracer umbrella, and as all good things, Embracer will find a way to kill every single one of
Had a
them.
spire on it. I heard
Jesus Christ. Well, Loon, you ready to start the show?
almost 2 hours in. Yeah, let's go.
Jesus Christ. All right. Well, here we go. Let's hop into the news. Thank you so much, patrons, YouTube members. Thank you all so very much for writing in We hope y'all enjoyed the deep
Yeah, can't
two
say we don't
hour.
give you the stage. We're not like the Game Awards. We don't hurry you along. So there you go.
Let's see. So out the gate, I do want to apologize. This week's news wrap up, I think it will be a little bit shorter. I've been busy as shit at work, and so some of this stuff I don't have super deep dive notes on, so we're just kind of gonna be shooting from the hip on a lot of this stuff. But I did try to pull as many notes and articles and shit as I could here. So
They didn't feel like
let's
there
get
was
into it.
particularly many like huge heavy hitters though, as well, to be fair. It was a
No.
fairly obviously there's still stories to cover, but it was a fairly lighter week than most.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. So Jason Schreier from Bloomberg over there, very, very reliable insider in the gaming space, said this on Resetera. I'll put it this way. It's not a new IP when talking about Cory Barlog and Sony Santa Monica's next game. He said, I'll put it this way. It's not a new IP, but it might feel like one. Maybe that's why people are confused. Please don't ask me more questions about this. If I wind up reporting more information at any point in the future, it'll be in an article, not on a forum. I can also confirm that Ashong knows what they're talking about. I'm guessing that's a leaker in Resetera. Uh, and that the sci-fi stuff that people have apparently believed for years is nonsense. So I'm one of those people that believed that. I thought it was going to be a sci-fi game from Santa Monica as well, and supposedly that is not true at all. And if Jason Schreier's speaking, I'm listening. Like I don't know of a more reliable track record in the history of games coverage than Schreier. He might have got something. I can't even think of something he's gotten wrong. Um, so yeah, I he says here, I can't wait for Santa Monica to announce their game. I truly don't know how Era will react. I would just say it's different and probably not something anybody is expecting, not trying to sour anyone's expectations, by the way. I think it's going to be amazing. At first, I was like, but then I was like, that's for anybody. I don't know how else to. He says at first I was like kind of sad faced, and then I was like excited faced. I don't really know how to do that in verbal speak. But he also said apparently it's not a licensed game either. So a lot to kind of dissect here. This is kind of my favorite style of news where we can just throw shit at the wall and probably get nothing right. But like, what the fuck could this be? Not a new IP, not sci-fi, but also not a licensed game. Because like that was what I was, as soon as I heard all that, I was like, oh, well, it's definitely going to be something in the Marvel space, like a Thor game. You got the Leviathan axe, you throw it, you get the axe back. Like it's right there in terms of mechanics. But if it's not a licensed game, I'm guessing they're going to bring back an old PlayStation franchise. But it's like, what are they going to bring back? What is the thing? The ones I jotted down here: Sly Cooper, Jack and Daxter, Resistance, The Order, and Twisted Metal, of being like the only ones that I could see have any staying power
Mm.
today, any name recognition. But even there, I think some of those don't really have much name recognition, if I'm being real.
What's the likelihood it's just another God of War game?
Yeah,
Like that's what it
damn.
like. It's where the thing where he's like he's sad about it because it's like oh you're kind of playing it safe, but then like ooh like is this just because where my mind wanders is that I don't see them doing like an order game. I don't see them doing a resistance. Like they've kind of carved this identity of themselves, making this kind of style of God of War experience with the how they've reinvigorated it. Is this is just me spitting something and sticking it to the wall? Is this just going to be like their Assassin's Creed? Are they just going to explore every mythology? Could that just
Hmm.
be what you do? You know, you go to Egypt, you go to Japan, you go all to all these different things, and it's just Kratos beating the shit out of every god imaginable until he's in a wheelchair.
Listen, I'll buy it, but I won't
Boy,
be
change my
excited.
catheter.
I don't, man, when I would be putting my money down for that purchase, I don't think I would be doing it with like a smile on my face. I would be doing it because I know it would be good, but I wouldn't be excited like at all about a new God of War. Listen, because they have two teams working on games simultaneously, I believe. A God of War game from one of their divisions, great. But I just think they need to make something new because even when I'm thinking about bringing back old PlayStation IP, it's like, I would love to see Sly Cooper come back with Blue Point. I would love to see Resistance come back with Blue Point. Santa Monica? No disrespect to those games. Even Infamous, one of my favorite games fucking ever. I don't want to see Santa Monica do that. Like when you're that fucking talented and you've put out games that are that good, I want to see you spread your wings a little bit. I want to see you fly. I want to see you do something different. Shake it up, man. Um, the only game in the PlayStation portfolio that I would actually be really fucking pumped, like really pumped to see Sony Santa Monica work on would be The Getaway. But there's no chance they're working on The Getaway. That would be such I that would be one of those things. I think it would fit in terms of a reaction that leaves people when they first hear it kind of like what the fuck, and then they're like, "Oh shit." Like I think it could be one of those style of things because listen, if we're just thinking name value, The Getaway, Grand Theft Auto. Like when you're thinking of names that just stick, The Getaway is such a sticky name. That's a great name to throw on something. So if it's just the name and that alone, but absolutely like a total reboot with no ties to the previous shit, that could be dope. But do I see Sony Santa Monica working on an open world crime thriller? No. But I think when you're talking about potential return, um, like long term, if you make a great first getaway and you're like, oh, these motherfuckers are actually competing for the GTA open world, they're actually attempting to compete for the throne, then it's like, shit, well, the getaway too, now that has online elements. And now Sony is not totally dependent on GTA Online, and they're able to take more than that 30% cut. They're taking 100% of the cut. Like I don't know. I can see it from a business standpoint, the Getaway being one of the only IP under their portfolio that makes sense. But even then, I don't see Sony Santa Monica working on the fucking Getaway. I think you would just
No,
probably
that
name
would
it
be
something new.
wild. I was gonna say as well because what sprite when you said the getaway, I was thinking Gangs of London. I don't know if you remember that game.
Right. Yep.
I
Yep.
didn't know
Yep.
that's apparently a. Let me make sure I'm not. That is the getaway. That's the third getaway game. It says it's in the Getaway series. Is the third
Oh
installment in
wow.
the Getaway? So I didn't know that it was the Getaway Black Monday, and then Gangs of London was yeah. Because I remember
Wow.
playing that on the PSP. Dope game, dope game. So I was like,
Yeah.
that seemed like a Sony published title. It's on the PSP. I wonder like who made that and stuff. And it was just like, yeah, it's the third Getaway title. I was like, what?
I don't know, man. Like I do think there's value with that because it is a great name. That's such a
Yeah,
good
it's
name.
it's
Because
snappy and it's yeah. And they usually make snappy titles of their games, and because they don't really fit many other molds. So if you're gonna throw them onto something, why not make it that? They've shown their quality. They can make really really damn good games. So
I wonder if they're making. Because once again, I'm such a fucking nerd, and I just listen to podcasts about video games all day, every day. What's the Joe Rogan? Joe Rogan all day, or train all day, Joe Rogan all night. It's literally video game podcasts all day, video game podcasts all night. Um, I remember listening to Eric Williams, the director of Sony Santa Monica, for God of War Ragnarok, and he said that like his dream project is a Castlevania game. And then so I'm like with Konami licensing out their IP, but like I don't see Sony taking that. No disrespect to Castlevania, but wouldn't they just rather make their own thing and own the IP and just have it look like Castlevania, feel like Castlevania, play like Castlevania, but not be named Castlevania? Because if we're being completely real, does Castlevania have, I guess they have some juice with the show, but I don't know. I don't see Sony wanting to, because they're already struggling to make back profit with Spider-Man 2, which, I mean, don't get me wrong, it is massively profitable, but it's like we're talking, I don't know, 7%, 8% profit margins. It's not like
Yeah,
500%.
and it's because you get in when you get in bed with established IP, you're paying for the privilege of making that game. That's the thing. Like a lot of people were surprised whenever that's like brought up that it's not as profitable as people think. Like it's sold loads of copies, but it's not making them all that much money. It's the kind of hook title to get you into the ecosystem, not to actually make bank. Um, I don't know what they could like. I would probably either go with a Jack and Daxter, maybe, because I don't see Naughty Dog going back and doing that. It just doesn't.
God, no.
You're so entrenched in The Last of Us as a thing that you're doing. That's in your DNA and your rotation. You've obviously got Intergalactic, and then you know people are probably going to be pining for an Uncharted game at some point in the future. I assume, which will pull them into that direction. So they've got their hands full. I think a like a dark Jack and Daxter game, like a Jack 2 kind of thing.
You know, when he turns into like the whole game is
Yeah.
when he turns into the little fucking he turns white and his eyes are glowing red or some stupid shit. I listen, man. I think PlayStation needs to get a little bit more comfortable moving on. They used to be so great at that. Okay, it's time to let Jack and Daxter go. Let's focus on Uncharted. It's time to let Uncharted go. Let's focus on The Last of Us. It's time to let, but Sony Santa Monica has never been good at that. Like, they've only done Connecticut and God of War. And so I don't see them going back to Connecticut. And I guess they assisted with development on the Order, if I'm not mistaken. But it's it's time. Like not trying to be rude. Horizon 3 should be the final Horizon game. I love Spider-Man. We probably don't need more Spider-Man. I know they're going to make a third one. I'll play it. Once again, am I going to be jumping for joy to play it? Probably not. I love Ghost of Tsushima. I'm pumped for Ghost of Yotei. We probably don't need a third one. I love The Last of Us. We probably don't need a third one. I
Do you, do you think it's
kind of
kind
like
of
God of
damaging
War,
to
but we
them
don't need
though,
more.
as well? Because we're talking from our standpoint as that kind of consumer where we want that net, but the thing is that they've got so comfortable because like with the remasters and stuff and just porting and just scraping the barrel again and again. They've kind of built that new identity up for them of just being that like it's almost it's not a one-to-one replication of what Nintendo does, but it's mimicking that in many ways of just staying within that IP fold and don't take risks. Because you look at Nintendo, the reason they're so successful is because look, man, like I'm gonna be blunt, they've made the same thing like a million times, but it just works because they just focus on the fun. They
Yeah,
focus on
but
what people want, and you give them what they want. So, and you see so many people wanting more of these IPs. It's very difficult to get people invested into new stuff. People are very cautious, um, and then you see them because when I'm thinking back, like they canned Days Gone so quick, and that wasn't even all that bad of like a commercial success because I think it was a success, but they seem to not think so. So yeah, I don't know what the I think they just want to kind of mimic what Nintendo's doing to some degree and just make stuff that people when you think of PlayStation you think of Horizon, you think of this, you think of that.
yeah, golly, I really hope not. I really hope not. I really hope when they announce their next thing, there's not even a slight association to God of War. You gotta let people want it. You gotta let people yearn for it a little bit. Give them a a quick hit, a couple doses, and then make them want the third dose 10 years later, like we're feeling with Uncharted right now. Just give it time to breathe. Fallout 5 is not getting time to breathe, even though it's been 10 years and it's getting quite a bit of time to breathe.
I was about to say.
This is according to Jez Corden, who he said the ZeniMax Online, the MMO game, was canceled so that they could shift resources to focus on Fallout 5. Fallout 5
Mm,
Fallout 5 needed other games to get canceled to receive funding. Uh, of course, Jason Schreier immediately refuted this point because it's kind of insane. And listen, I'm not saying it's his, like, he didn't do anything wrong. He was
yeah.
told something and reported on what he was told. I do kind of wish he could have asked why. Like, why did something need to get canceled so that Fallout 5 could receive funding? Shouldn't Fallout 5 always 100% of the time, no matter what, receive funding? Like, it doesn't matter if you got $500 billion in development, Fallout 5 should be receiving funding as well. That's a guaranteed smash hit. Um, so yeah, the claim is crazy, but so who cares about that? But like, let's just Fallout 5 has been greenlit. That at least sounds like some good news worth talking about, I guess.
Yeah, it's something that should have been done a long time ago, to be honest. I don't
All
know
right.
why Fallout, not Fallout, sorry, why Bethesda dragged their feet with it. BGS. They obviously did the Fallout 76, and that was kind of met with very, very mixed feelings and emotions when that was announced with the trailer and stuff. And you see like the treatment that Elder Scrolls is now getting. Elder Scrolls didn't have a TV show. Fallout had a TV show. Like there's want for this. It's the thing. I think we spoke about it. I think it was last week or the week before. They really messed this up. Like that's the thing that I'll give the tip of the hat to Sony with. Like they know the Last of Us TV show was going to do well, so they made sure there was a product that aligned with their system to then benefit off of that. Because you always should be doing that. Just be smart. So they're now scrambling. It worries me a little bit because is this going to mean that are they going to get the treatment that Obsidian got? Are they going to be on like a you get this out as quickly as you can? Turn this over in like 18 months, and it comes out in a disastrous state because
Or is
Microsoft is sitting there putting fires up underneath their feet and being like, we want money, 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 money.
or is it Obsidian who's making it? I think that's kind of the bigger question. Is like, there's no way this is BGS, right? Unless they have two teams who are like, unless they're creating a dedicated Fallout team, a dedicated Elder Scrolls team, because Elder Scrolls 6 won't release until probably 2030. And then so that would mean this probably won't release until 2035. Like there's no way that's the case. There has to be two separate teams working on this.
Yeah, it could be a joint effort. Obviously, they're still. I don't even know if that's true. They're technically still supporting Starfield to a degree, even though there's meant to be another expansion and there's been nothing talked about it,
They
which
should
is
kill that
which
immediately.
is very very strange. Um, if I was in Microsoft's shoes personally, it would be 50-50 split it. Like, do have Obsidian write the story and BGS do the gameplay because they can't they can't be trusted with it. And that kind of goes both ways. Like, I don't think this is going to sound weird, but I don't think Fallout fans want the Outer Worlds gameplay because I've talked to people who were Fallout fans that picked up the and they don't like that. They just like what that is. They like Bethesda's stuff, the way that they do it. So I think, but the thing is, they like Obsidian's writing style more than Bethesda. So I think just working to your strengths.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting the idea that, like, I'm not trying to relitigate, but the idea that something had to stop being funded for Fallout 5.
Oh no,
It's
that's
just like,
BS.
yeah, it for sure. But it's like man, there could have been such an interesting story in there of like the follow-up could have been, so you're saying Fallout 5 wouldn't have been funded if it weren't for the MMO getting canceled. And if the answer was like no, we wouldn't have had the funds for it. Like there's the story. That would be a fascinating story to dive into.
Mm. It seems like damage control
Yeah.
is what they're trying to spin it as. They think that that's going to win favor over. Yeah, we can we can the online service that we know that people, online services have a bad rep, but it's okay because that now got you Fallout 5.
Hmm. Yeah.
So, can
Fallout
we
5.
can we quickly pause a sec?
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. So that's the fallout of the Fallout. And now
Yeah.
let's talk a little bit about the GTA 6 and the sales predictions, the expectations. This was from an employee at Convoy, an investment firm that has predicted that Grand Theft Auto 6 will sell 85 million copies in 2 months into an install base of around 100 million consoles that are able to run the game. I uh listen, I I think that's fucking crazy. But I guess if you're an investment firm and your job is to make people want to invest money, that's a way to make people want to invest money. 85 million copies in 2 months. If you told me anything's going to sell 85 million copies in 2 months, I'll throw a dollar on it. If that can make me back $2, shit, yeah. Let's put the money on that. Um, listen, that's an 85% attach rate. That's not going to happen. Here's what I will say. Here's what I will say. The only possible theoretical scenario where I could ever see this being true is if there actually are that many people waiting to buy a next gen console until we get an actual like next gen looking game. And then if there are an additional 20 to 40 million PlayStation 5s or Xbox consoles sold between now and GTA 6's release, then that puts it like if you're looking at 140 million next gen consoles available to run this game when it launches, then you're talking about 85 of the 140. It's definitely still steep. Anything over a 50% attach rate is absolutely like I mean, other than Nintendo, it's totally, I don't think ever happened for any game ever. I could be wrong about that. Maybe a Sonic game back in the day, but like not in modern times. So I don't know, man. I don't think it's going to hit over a 50% attach rate.
No, the thing is, it's in 60 days. Are you out of your mind?
Yeah.
Is what they're claiming? 60 days,
Yeah. 2 months.
2 months. No, I there's no way. I think something's been crossed wrong in that.
Yeah.
Um, Maybe they're trying to factor in something else that we're not. Maybe they've not been told that it's not releasing on PC. Something strange
Right.
like that. Something's gone over their head because that. But maybe that's just how these firms work. Maybe this is why we've constantly bashed on Square Enix for having bafflingly bad expectations. Is it because they're listening to people like this that are like, no,
Right.
it's a very successful game, so therefore it will sell 80 million copies in 60. You're out of your fucking mind. Like this is the type of thing of, like you said, at its current point, it's like an 80-ish% of all gamers on consoles of PlayStation, Xbox.
85.
85, even worse. 85-ish
Oh my
percent.
God.
There's no way, man. There's no that people don't consume content like that. Gamers, they do not like. This is gonna do unbelievably well. Don't. That's not
Oh
me
yeah.
saying. That's not me underplaying it and being like, no, GTA 6 is. It's gonna smash record sales. It's gonna smash week one, day one, everything. It's gonna dwarf anything else that's come out. Of course it will. But them numbers is just that's absurdity. That is
Yeah.
absolute absurdity. That's even if it was releasing on PC, it would probably still struggle to hit that because of the system requirements. You're talking that pushes out a lot
Hmm.
of PC players from being able to run it, because I don't think that them system requirements are going to be lenient.
Ooh, that's actually an interesting. I mean, we'll never know, but I don't know
If PC was
actually.
in the equation, I think this would be my guess, not my prediction. 50 million, I think, is achievable in them 60 days. If you're factoring in Series X, Series S, if it's available there, um, PS5, obviously PS5 Pro, and all the PC. I think that that could be manageable, but even then, that just seems, like I said, gamers don't usually consume that in that large amount of a bite in all in one go, other than like a system seller launch, like a Mario Kart. But even then, like that's not. You're talking how many systems did Nintendo sell?
Yeah, like I don't know, 8 to 10, something like that by this point, probably. I I think it'll sell 50 million. I think it can it depending, I think there's a strong likelihood it sells 50 million in 2 months if there are bundles with the game where it's like buy a PS5
Oh
for
yeah,
$500 and we're going to take the $70 hit on GTA 6. You know what I mean? Like I think that I think Sony would be smart or Xbox would be so smart to do that where
I
it's like we'll take the $70 hit, you get GTA 6 for free, here's a PS5, pay us the 500, you get GTA 6 for free. That type of thing.
I don't think Sony. I don't think Sony would have to do it. They already have a massive install base, and I don't think that they would be able to look at it. And I think it would sell on its own. I think if anybody's going to be groveling, it would be Xbox paying Rockstar to bundle it with things, because it would help them shift units as well as the game. That would be able to pull people in the net. Um,
Yeah.
and what I'll say as well, to put a little bit of extra spice on it, for for Xbox being able to convince people, it's not launching on PC. If they somehow get Play Anywhere, like as a thing where they're like it when it comes to PC, it will be Play Anywhere. That can convince people potentially, but I don't. That's because Rockstar, I think, have their own launcher and stuff on PC and stuff like that. That would be something that would probably Rockstar wouldn't want to do, but that would be an avenue where you could end up convincing PC players to buy it, because then they turn around and go, "Oh, I bought an Xbox," and then when it does actually launch on PC, I'm still able to use that copy to some degree. That would be a way of them being able to muscle in something.
Could this be a galaxy brained uh prediction here from this investor at Convoy where he's saying without having to say that GTA 6 is going to get delayed again? I mean, that's kind of a scenario I don't think he'll have that information, but that's the only way I could see this realistically turning out where if it gets delayed to 2027, then yeah, there will probably be enough consoles in the market to sell somewhere around 80 million in 2 months. But even then, like I don't know. Even then, I think that's kind of a stretch. I think 50. I think it will hit 50. I'll go ahead and step on that prediction. I might that might be steep, but I think it will sell 25 to 30 million day one, and then I think that'll be the bulk of the sales day one, and I think over time, over the next 2 months, I think it might hit 50, but I think 40 might be a safer bet, honestly.
So you've locked that in. I'll lock in 20 pretty quickly. Like they'll hit that very quick. The only way I see them hitting 50 is if there's somebody bundling it with them. If there's no bundle, I don't see that hitting 50 in 60 days. That's just not happening.
What's your prediction? 60 days, the number that you're gonna lock in.
28.
28. That seems safe. I'll go 50, but I think 40 is probably safer. I think 40 is probably a little bit safer.
Because I'm what I'm thinking of as well is obviously people are talking about struggling already. The economy's
Right.
not going to get better. Things are only going to get more expensive. Did you see as well? I don't know if you spotted it on the chart. It did list it as an $80 sale. Did you see that?
Oh, the investor said it was going to be $80. Yeah,
Yeah.
because he said the revenue was going to be like some astronomical amount, like fucking $450 billion
So
dollars or whatever. Yeah, I don't know. I think that that probably makes the most sense. That'll be their first $80 game because they're not doing it with NBA 2K, which I thought that would have been the first one since with NBA 2K21 that was the first $70 game. I thought with 2K26 that would be the first $80 game, but they're not doing that yet. So as of right now, it's just Microsoft and Nintendo in the $80 market, which obviously that's a benefit to us, but there's no way that GTA 6 is gonna launch with fucking Outer Worlds 2 costing 80, Mario Kart costing 80, and GTA 6 is gonna cost 70. Although, please, Strauss Zelnick, I will kiss your feet if you do that, because at that point it's like uh,
you
you
yank
look
the
like a
industry
joke.
back. There would
Yeah.
have to be course correction because there would be so much outrage.
Yeah. You should
Being
be
like,
pricing your
come
games
on,
at
bro.
fucking 30. That's the case. Mario Kart should immediately get cut to 30. Outer Worlds should immediately get cut to 30. Um,
But what the
speak.
reason I touched on that is because we talked about, is there a potential this is a 90, $100 thing? So it
Mm,
does seem it's obviously not a 100% locked in. That is what it's going to be. But if they have some sort of foot in the door of information and stuff, and they're deeming it's probably going to be 80. I think that's a fairly safe bet. It's probably going to be 80.
the interesting thing too is NBA 2K26 is the first NBA game that's not on PlayStation 4. So this would be their excuse for 2K21 was like it was the first next gen NBA 2K,
Yeah,
so they charged at 70. This would be their excuse to charge 80, but it's like they're still not doing it. So I mean, I don't listen, believe me. If we had to fucking put money on that prediction of if it's going to be 70 or 80, I'm going to go 80. Just I'm always going to go negative on that stuff, unfortunately, but I think that's like a 70-30 split. I could see GTA 6 being $70.
I'll go 95-5 split that it's going to be 80.
So we have some pretty cool information here regarding Saber Interactive and potentially a new game or an old game or some game being re-revealed or revealed for the first time from Saber. They have this very cryptic teaser over there on the old Twitters, and it's saying 1 p.m. A reveal on July 22nd will be coming from Saber Interactive. So I did see. I also saw like I believe the founder of the studio or high up at the studio posted something as well where it was like a bunch of horror sounds. Like it sounded like a horror movie that was being played on an old CRT TV, and I'm like, okay, so y'all have Jurassic Park, Turok. Like I don't think it's either of those. That sounded much more ominous and like darker than a Jurassic Park level of horror. And it's like other than that, you have KOTOR, you have Avatar, you have the little Airbender fella, you have S- Space Marine 3. Like what makes really nasty horror sounds? Like I'm assuming it's a new IP, but it's like y'all already have so many fucking IP that you're working on that you haven't re-revealed, man. What? I don't know. They had 11 studios under their belt though, so they have a lot of bodies to throw at these projects.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking of like what the hell it could be. Like you said, horror esque with the screaming. Like it could be for me. My dream project from them would be an Evil Dead game, but that doesn't. I don't think that fits Evil Dead. Like
That
the
was
TV
really
show,
dark.
the TV show kind of went a little bit more darker, and they have done an Evil Dead movie, which was much more horror based. Evil Dead Rise, but I would want an Ash Williams game. I wouldn't want whatever that was. I enjoyed the movie, but I wouldn't want that. I don't want like a walking sim thing. But you think of like horror icons of like, obviously Jason, Freddy, Hellraiser. Like there's loads that it could be. Take your pick.
I'd be so down for a Texas Chainsaw Massacre game. But like that's once again that's not in their wheelhouse because I would see that game having to be pretty much walking sim either third or first person escaping from this little farm style setting where there's a couple houses and it's the family they all live on this sort of plantation of sorts, this compound of sorts, and you're trying to avoid them, trying to get to a car, kind of the whole Dead by Daylight thing to some degree, but with a more of a single player slant to it. And I think with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre asymmetric game not doing so well. I don't even know if it didn't do well, but I don't think there's really much of a future for that. I saw people bringing up Pinhead. I think Pinhead could make some sense, but like, is that a
It's
valuable
Hellraiser,
enough?
right?
I Is it?
The guy with the nails hanging over his head. I think that's
I see.
Hellraiser.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not a
Yeah.
big like. I could be wrong on that. I don't really know a lot about. I've watched a ton of horror movies, but I'm not the biggest like horror movie connoisseur.
Yeah, Hellraiser.
Okay, that could
Let
be
me just
dope.
make sure. That's what you're talking about?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, okay,
Right.
okay. Yep, yep, yep. That could be dope. I mean, once again, I don't know if that's a big enough, but I don't know. Hellraiser, like that's a good name too.
Yeah, it's so weird because it's like you think of when you're thinking of Saber in their current state, it's high octane, punchy, meaty combat, and it's just like that eliminates a lot of horror. If it's playing a horror-esque sound, but that eliminates a lot of horror films in the way that they are, unless you're going to be playing as the killer. That could be the only way that you take that spin on it. Like you're Jason going on a massacre kind of thing. Um, and really hammering that home. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
We're in this kind of renaissance of older films though being greenlit. You obviously had RoboCop, Terminator. They've just
Judge.
talked about a Dread film.
Yeah,
Um, and I think I've mentioned I'm a massive Judge Dredd fan, and with that horror esque, there is a horror parallel universe of Judge Dredd where it is like an apocalypse. So if they couldn't make me an Evil Dead game, I'd happily take a Judge Death Dark Judges game. That would be fucking amazing because that is a
yeah,
dark, dark series, like really unbelievably dark.
yeah. I like the idea of going in that because like Jurassic Park Survive is kind of what I'm thinking this would already be, right? Like you're going to be running away from fucking dinosaurs. Like I don't think you're going to be killing a bunch of dinosaurs or anything. I don't think it's because they got Turok for that. If you want to kill the dinosaurs, you play their Turok upcoming game. If you want to run from the dinosaurs, you play the Jurassic Park Survive game. So I don't think it's going to be, oh, you run away from fucking Jason or Michael Myers or the Texas Chainsaw Leatherface, whatever. And I don't know. I just want to see Knights of the Old Republic. Can you just please show me Knights of the Old Republic? That's the only thing I want to see from their entire portfolio. I went to their website and was looking at the games that they have on the roster. It's nowhere to be seen. I think that game has been kicked, not even to the curb, to the next city.
It's so unfortunate that that's the next game that's in this like spiral of development. How you ever said like Duke Nukem, Dead Island 2 was in that for a while.
Yeah,
Man,
yeah.
KOTOR,
It's
come on, man.
I need that shit, man. Even if it's janky, like I just want to play an action RPG, KOTOR. So, speaking of Knights of the Old Republic, this is Miyamoto. I am pleased to announce that for the live action film of The Legend of Zelda, Zelda will be played by Bo Braga's son, and Link by Benjamin Evan Ainsworth son. I'm very much looking forward to seeing both of them on the big screen. The film is scheduled to release in theaters on May 7th, 2027. Thank you for your patience. And can you cut the camera back to us for a second?
Yeah,
I will show this. I probably should have so the audience can see the. Let's see.
there you go. Yeah,
Oh, motherfucker.
yeah,
There
there
it
you
goes.
go.
All right. So those
The
are
quality reporting and you know stuff that you can expect.
those are your Links and your Zeldas. Very, very young. I'm guessing they're going for a very young Link and Zelda there, which I guess that makes sense. I don't know. Do Link and Zelda have like a canonical? I don't know shit about these fuckers, but um, yeah, they look like something that could be a Link and a Zelda. You throw them in there, and you throw a sword in there, and you throw a cannon in there. I don't know. And one guy is like a bad guy, and then there's some good guys, and I don't know. There's your 2 hours.
Well, there you go. I mean, I'll toss in some commentary as well. My only,
Thanks.
I obviously know nothing really about Zelda, but what I do know, he doesn't really speak. He makes
Hmm.
sound effects. So if you're because this is live action, I'm assuming,
I'd hope so.
is he just not gonna like? I don't know. It feels very weird because it always goes one way or the other. Either they really execute it when there's been a mute esque character where they don't talk and they give them a voice in a film. It really really works. And then there's times where they've tried that and it really really doesn't work. I don't really know. Like he doesn't. He's purposely a blank slated character for you to just basically portray
Paint.
yourself as, like you're
No.
playing as Link. Um, so yeah, I don't know. It's cool that Nintendo's willing to like they seem out of all of the you know platform holders they're experimenting with Hollywood and to a much greater success it feels like than a lot of other ones. Like they did pretty well with the Mario movies, right?
Oh yeah, number one box office
Yeah.
of last year, I believe.
So I don't know. I think they could do well with a Zelda movie. It's just whether or not you can make him talk and it be worthwhile.
I'm just so curious. Like, I find fan bases to be such a interesting thing to examine. I'm so curious what the fan base is gonna react to with this new Zelda movie thing. Like, are they gonna be upset if Link speaks? I think that would be such a crazy expectation to be like, no, you can't talk in the movie. Why would you talk in the movie?
No, I don't. I don't think it'll be that. It'll just be whether or not you make it. I don't know the like feel natural. Like oh yeah, that fits. It's a weird thing because you had sometimes when fan bases do get involved, it does make the product better. Um, and then other times it doesn't. They did the Sonic thing as well, where the initial Sonic character was heavily criticized, and they ended up changing it, and that made their fan base pretty happy. So I don't know how stubborn Nintendo are when it
Are
comes
Zelda
to.
fans,
I have no idea.
are they annoying? I don't know if I've ever encountered an
They're easy to
annoying.
please. Bam, bam.
I don't
No,
I don't think I've ever encountered like an annoying Zelda fan. I
no,
don't think I've really
I
ever
don't think I've
encountered
ever
an.
encountered a Zelda fan. Like what I mean by that is like you have people who are like, yeah, I love The Witcher. I've never like sat down with someone who's like Zelda is at the top of my like. There's people who like Zelda. I've never had contact with somebody who's like, yeah, man, that is it.
Oh, I've definitely met people who like love Zelda, but I don't know if I've ever. I don't know. I feel like I don't know if I've ever met an annoying Zelda fan or even really seen an annoying Zelda fan online, which I mean that's testament to I'm sure they're out there. There's everybody's fucking annoying. I'm annoying. Assassin's Creed is coming to Netflix.
I wasn't
Um,
ready for that. Okay.
the show will be produced and run by Emmy-nominated Robert Patino from DMZ and Westworld, Sons of Anarchy, and David Weiner from Halo, The Homecoming, The Killing. Ubisoft announced this on Thursday. The Assassin's Creed live action series is described as a high octane thriller centered on the secret war between the two shadowy factions. And according to its creators, will follow various characters across pivotal historical events. Weiner and Patino said in a joint statement beneath the scope, The spectacle, the parkour, and the thrills is a baseline for the most essential kind of human story about people searching for purpose, struggling with questions of identity and destiny and faith. It's about power and violence and sex and greed and vengeance. But more than anything, this is a show about the value of human connection across cultures, across time, and it's about what we stand to lose as a species when those connections break. I'm thinking probably like a 48 on Metacritic,
Yeah,
37 to
what the
48.
fuck was that?
It's a lot of
I'm
words.
I am the resident Assassin's Creed fan, as everybody knows. Um, I think I've shown it. Lots of books, all the games. Dude, that Michael Fassbender movie was arse that they did. Like that live action Assassin's Creed film was genuinely drier than the desert setting of Origins. Like nothing happened in that film. I
He's
I
so
I have no faith in them whatsoever. And it's that type of thing of like they're probably gonna try a little bit harder this time, but they wasted that first opportunity into the live action space. They sat there and they did nothing with it. So I'll I'll keep an eye on it, but I have no faith in Ubisoft to do live action movies.
And can we stop saying Emmy nominated? I think I'm nominated for a damn Emmy. I think for the earlier in the show when I teared up, I think I won an Emmy for that. Everybody wins fucking Emmys. I I, I heard the other day I was listening to I don't remember what the fuck I was listening to, and there was somebody that was talking about an Emmy they won for something that was just or was nominated for an Emmy that it was like a oh, I remember what it was. Damn, never mind. I'm not going to throw a direct shot at that dude. Was very nice on that podcast. I was, just, I did, but it was kind of one of those things where I was like, how the hell did this get nominated for an Emmy? Fuck it, I'll just say it. Silent Hill Ascension. I was like, how did that get nominated for a fucking Emmy? Is it Emmy? That can't be Emmy, right? That had to have been something else. I'm always conflating shit. I never know what I'm talking about.
Oh no, I wanted to
Um,
know if it was live action or animated.
I could be wrong. I could be completely out of my depth here, but I don't know. I just when I
They made
hear
a
Emmy,
TV show of Silent Hill. What?
am I
When?
crazy?
Silent Hill Ascension, one season.
Okay, yeah, it's that's the mobile game thing, right?
No, that's a TV show.
Okay,
Silent Hill Ascension. Yeah, it got an Emmy, even though
I
it's rated 2.3
that's what I'm
stars out of
saying.
10.
It's like I'm not trying to be rude, but it just see like if you said you won the Emmy for like I don't know
Here you go.
TV
I can list. It was Prime Time Creative Arts Emmy Award for Outstanding Innovation in Emerging Media Programming.
that's what I'm saying, Loon. They just have so many fucking awards. They got an award for like categories that don't even exist.
Hey, it's only the 76th Emmy in that awards list. It's the 76th one that they handed out that night.
Hey, man. I mean, shout out. Listen, whatever. Who the fuck cares? I would, if I had ever won anything in my life, I'd be bragging about it too. I got a trophy from like middle school basketball that's still hanging around somewhere in my house. Like, who the fuck am I
No,
to?
no, yeah, like of course it. But I've said it time and time again. I think I'm a lot harsher on it than you. I hate when people bring up their previous credentials as a way of launching like a new game because for me, 9 times out of 10, those have crashed and burned, and it's like you set expectations way too high, man. If you just announced the game as a project and didn't turn around and go, was like, I had a hand in spearheading the open world genre from 2000, like just say that you're making a game, man. It's very self damaging. But back to Assassin's Creed, I don't think that's going to be a very good film.
Well, damn, I totally forgot to include the Resident Evil story in here because Resident Evil, did you see the director of the upcoming Resident Evil movie was like, we're not overly concerned by the lore. I think he's like, we're fans of the
Have they
games. We've
ever?
played the games. Right. That was kind of my thought process as well. I think that's kind of a reason I don't necessarily care so much. Like I don't know. I would like to see a Resident Evil movie that actually follows the strict fucking storyline of one into two into three Code Veronica. Like I'd love to see that in a TV show, a film, whatever. But I don't care. I got the games, like they're there. I whenever directors, writers, showrunners, whenever they choose to veer off a little bit, sometimes I'm more interested in that as well.
Because it's new.
Yeah,
Like there were, what I'll interject in here. There was a lot. I remember when Fallout initially came out, there was people who really they enjoyed it. They loved it. And then you had the people who were very fine tooth combing it and being like, yeah, well they've messed this up or they've messed that up or, and it's like it's it would be different if they turned around out the gate and were like, yeah, this is a retelling of Fallout 3, and then they did that. That's the big difference. Is when it's just set in the universe. I actually prefer that personally because I'll happily put my hands up, dude. Them whatever Miller Jovovich Resident Evil movies, dude, they're dope. They're so stupid.
there's a
They
couple
are
of them that are dope.
unbelievably dumb and really poorly written. But they just like Michael Bay comfort food. Like they're just fun movies. And like I like that they had a little bit of Resident Evil spice with it. Oh, that's there we have it. I assume those are the ones. Are those the ones?
Yeah, I got the full collection of these motherfuckers. I love these damn movies,
Yeah,
man.
they're
The
just
damn.
because what I was saying is obviously I understand fans get upset, you know, when the quote unquote canon's being butchered and stuff like that. But for because they said it in Resident Evil, they were able to use characters, enemy types, and stuff like that that exist in that world and just go crazy with it. Like the Wesker portrayal in the movies is fucking so stupid, but I love it. It's so goofy and corny. It's just yeah. I I I don't know. So
Yeah.
it's yeah. If they get crazy with it, I'm all for it. If the, and that goes for Assassin's Creed as well. Like if it's at least going crazy, because that was the big letdown of that initial. Because you probably didn't see it. You probably didn't care. I assume that first Assassin's Creed with Michael Fassbender.
No, I did, but I wanted to see because Michael Fassbender, I love that motherfucker,
Yeah,
man.
he's
I Michael Magneto, his Magneto portrayal is unbe fucking believable. That whole scene in the bar with the Nazi, dude, that shit is like I get chills thinking about the lines he delivered and the way like that is one just top tier actor, man, in my opinion.
yeah, and it's just that thing of like you land. It was the casting of you cast him because of his name to try and drag people in because that plot was terrible. You sat there and just strapped him into like some weird Animus prototype, and that was it. That was the whole movie, and he jumped a few walls.
Yeah.
it's yeah, that
I,
frustrates me much more than if they were to turn around and go, yeah, this is the crazy, and just go completely out of nowhere and just do something stupid. Like I'd rather that because that at least shows that they're trying to think outside the box.
yeah. Yeah, I don't care about things as much as I used to. I don't think. Like and that's a weird sentence. But like I remember back in the day I really wanted a Resident Evil film television show to hit those beats. 0, 1, 2, 3. At least 1, 2, 3. Um and then I don't know, something I guess as I've gotten older is I just slowly stopped really caring about kind of any of that stuff. Like I don't really care what you do with the story. I don't really care how it's portrayed. Like I don't really care how it's adapted, how true to the lore it is. I just don't really care. Like if it's cool, if it's fun, then I'll watch it. Sure, shit yeah. And it's the same way with games. Like if a game is adapting something that I like from, like we're actually perfect. We're going to talk about this upcoming Bond thing. I'm gonna
Mm.
go piss before we do talk about it, but I uh I just don't care. Like if the game is fun, if the movie is cool, if it's totally different than the source material, it's like, oh, well, the source material's still there. Like I
Yeah,
they
exactly. It's the same
they
thing
do
with
need to
when they.
remake Resident Evil 1.
It's the same thing when they do remakes of games. Like when people get very, very, very upset with that. It's like the original's still there. You can still go back
Yep.
and experience that. Um,
I,
because I had that experience with. I didn't play any of the Silent Hill games, but I watched the movies before, and I remember people being very annoyed at the movies because it wasn't doing stuff that I was like, I thought the movies were fine. I enjoyed the movie. I sat there and watched all the movies. I was like, yeah, this is a fine horror film. It's kind of does stuff. I enjoyed it for what it was.
Things
There's lots of
happen.
fog and there's a policewoman and yeah, there's weird shit going on.
Yeah, and it's like the games are right there for you if you want to experience that. And they do need to remake Resident Evil 1 though, I will say, because like I it does bum me out that somebody like you know, or somebody that's a little bit younger than me, they're not going to go back and play Resident Evil 1 and have any enjoyment with it, even in the remake in most cases. So like it would be dope for them to remake that so that you could kind of see where it jumped off from. And I'd kind of be cool with them making making some tweaks to that as well. Once again, I know that's sacrilegious, but like the original, like you said, is still there. But you know, the charm of some of that really bad writing and line delivery, it is charming. I get it, the Jill sandwich, all of that, but I'd like to see that be more in line with RE2 and 3, the remakes, admittedly.
Yep.
Got pissed. Be right back.
Cool.
So, speaking of adaptations, VGC did a really good interview here with franchise director over at IO, Jonathan Lassiel. Apologize, Mr. Jonathan. And we got a ton of new info on that Bond game, which I'm very, very excited to see more on that Bond game. So let's dive in. Um, I'm obviously links will be available to all of the articles that we're sourcing and shit in the description below. But I am going to be ripping a lot directly from the article, which I try not to do uh, um, because I don't know, it just feels like I'm stealing someone else's work. But this is like I don't want to misspeak on some of this information here. So let's see. Yeah, he was when they were interviewing Jonathan, I'm just going to call him Jonathan. I apologize because I don't want to butcher the last name, but he was asked about like how the project came to be, and he was talking about how Bond, you know, was uh, Bond inspired Hitman and saying that it'd be a dream to work on Bond, so they ended up pitching it. And he said there was a pitch being made to MGM at the time, and it was a long shot because they had not accepted a pitch, and they must have received a lot for more than 10 years at that time. So we thought they would never go back into gaming, but you know, let's try. We have something different to put on their table. And he said, I think what tilted the table in our favor was the creative approach that you have in Hitman. You always have multiple angles to tackle the problem, where you have those big social environments like public spaces where you can interact in different ways, which we felt could be a good starting point if we were to make a Bond experience. It's not enough, but it's a good starting point. And for the licensor, it would help us prove to them that you can make video games without shooting every 5 minutes. In Hitman, you shoot maybe once per level or not at all. Um, he said, I think that opened up the conversation at the very least. So I think that's one of the main beats that stood out to me from this entire article is that like MGM was much more open to a reserved kind of, you know, once again, restraint, just a little bit more restraint being shown. It seemed like that approach to combat design is what made IO appealing to MGM. So that's an interesting beat.
Yeah, because who the last well, it was Activision that had the IP last, right?
Yeah, I
I
think so.
believe.
Yep.
And that
360.
was I enjoyed them games, but they were heavily just first person shooter campaigns. They're
Yeah.
they don't really there's a reason that, Titanfall 3 hasn't been made. Like they're not as sought after as they once were. And they're probably you wouldn't be able to I don't think you'd be able to make a Bond multiplayer game take off. I think that would be something that would be like a Titanfall where it'd have a dedicated player base, small little knit community, but it wouldn't be something that bursts onto the scene. So It is. It's just that they are probably one of the very few developers. I can't really think of anybody else. You think of like the Splinter Cell team, but they haven't done anything in
Exactly.
however long. So they're the only people that are on the table that can give them a Bond style experience that gives you the kind of movie feel where it's a balance of everything. They've shown that you can have these really high quality environments that give you tons of different ways of tackling it.
Yeah. Yeah. And then they're asked about how they came up with the idea for an origin story. And they talked about going back and reading a lot of the original, Ian Fleming Bond
Mm.
books and how he was depicted as a younger Bond aesthetically and just sort of tonally. So they took a lot of cues there, more so from the books than from the movies. But, he talked about their love for the movies as well. He was saying like damn near everyone on the staff is massive Bond fans and we've seen all the films, all that. So they appreciate the source material for sure. But there is one thing I don't appreciate, and it's this quote. It says in our case, we wanted to build an origin story first because it's something that's not been done before, but also it may make it a bit more relatable to an audience that's younger on consoles than at the cinema. And I listen, it's not like Bond movies are rated R, dark, super bloody, super gory. So it'll probably be a T-rated game. All the Bond movies are PG-13. I think pretty much all of them. I could be wrong. There might be one that's rated R, or a couple that are rated R, but I think by and large they're almost all PG-13. So if this is T-rated, that's pretty much right there in line with the PG-13. But at the same time, I just don't like the phrasing of that so much. That kind of scares me a bit. You don't really, you know, I don't want this to be appealing to uh uh you know I don't know. At the same time though, you kind of do want this to be appealing to a 16, 14 to 16-year-old audience as well. Like you have to be appealing to that because that was appealing to us as 12-year-olds. Bond was fucking dope growing up. I was like, oh damn, yeah. I watched all those movies as a kid.
Yeah, there's very few because I was looking up. I think Casino Royale has like a torture scene that probably should have pumped up the rating, but I think it still is PG-13. So they get away like there's a lot of flexibility there. But what I'm thinking of is that's for movies though. Like with games, they seem to be a lot more under the microscope with ratings and stuff like that. You get a lot of things that get pushed into 18s and stuff like that with just like the bare minimum. Like just firing a gun can sometimes do that, and push it in there, which I think it probably is going to be. I would assume if it's got guns, it's probably going to be rated 18. So it's kind of weird that they're going in that tackle. I don't know how you would do an origin story though, and say that to make that relatable to people. To me, that's a bit puzzling because I actually started watching the original Bond movies, and they don't explain. They just it's just Sean Connery. Like there you go. You don't really
I
need
think
it explained at all. It's just he is a secret agent. He does stuff. He and it kind of unfolds. Oh, that's his personality. That's why you like him because he bends it. He's suave. He's all these different things. And in the trailer, it shows in the text saying that he's a bit reckless, which he is. He's that's always been Bond's thing is that he's always a little bit ill tempered and stuff like that. So I don't know. Maybe they can make it interesting. I don't really think that there's anything there. Really, it's just give us a spy thriller. I don't
yeah,
really
no,
need
I
an
mean that's
origin.
definitely yeah, it's definitely going to be that. I think that they're probably just wanting to position this because, like you were saying, going to the Ian Fleming books more so than the movies, and like looking at how he evolved the character throughout the course of the writing, and like trying to take more cues from that, and just giving people a bond that they can kind of grow up with. Um, yeah, so it's gonna do the whole. It's gonna be the hot chicks, the gadgets, the guns. It's gonna be all of it's not like once again, Bond isn't some incredibly complex thing that it should be pretty easy to nail what Bond is, even if he is a little bit more uh, hot-headed in this earlier stage of Bond's,
I mean,
career.
he's always been like that. To be fair, that's part of his shtick. The thing that, because the why I'm bringing that up as well, that gives me a little bit of worry is that they kind of tried to explore elements of this in them Hitman games, and they just their stories just aren't good. They don't really make very good story. Like, they're serviceable, but this is the thing: is that you need to be taking that next step up when you're going into a Bond. Like, there needs to be a lot more going on. There needs to be a lot more intrigue and stuff like that. It, that's my only worry with IO. I don't think that they've really they're known for their comedic writing. When 47's about to assassinate a target and stuff like that, there's always some writing there that's like, oh, this view's to die for, and then you push them, like stuff like that. That's their wheelhouse. So I don't know. I hope that they come with a little bit more. I don't know the word for it.
Substance,
Yeah,
narrative
substance,
substance.
a little bit more high quality of the writing and stuff like that, and don't rely on that. Because if they come in with that, that's gonna put a lot of people off.
Yeah, it's funny. They address that like 100% that exact thing in this article here in a second. Um, I'm pretty much just saying like he straight up acknowledged that the stories aren't good and Hitman Games was like, we got to make a better story. Um, VGC asked, was there anything off limits in terms of what you could look at with this game or anything MGM didn't want to see or preferred not to see? You mentioned at the start they weren't keen on making it a pure shooter and the creativity of IO's past work helped. Were they open in what you wanted to try and do? And Jonathan Laciel responded with, I've never had that question before, so I'll think back, but there is nothing that comes to mind outside of, yes, don't make him a killing machine. That was the first thing, but no, generally they've been very open. And this next one I want to hit verbatim because this is the where they really get into the meat of the article, talking about the Hitman DNA that you can find in the James Bond game.
Right.
So we were talking about the history with Hitman and it being more of a sandbox designed to be openly explored and replayed and approached in different ways. How much of that DNA is in 007 First Light and in the campaign in particular? He said there will be some of that DNA, but the game will be very different. You were mentioning it, but Hitman, if you think of it, is a very open space, and you're coming in and you're very patient. You're methodical, and you're going to count the millisecond before the guard passes. It's a very patient game. Versus First Light, the character, in a sense, is young and a bit reckless, and sometimes doesn't have enough patience. In design, that means we have to give you a sense of forward momentum all the time. So he needs to think quick on his feet. If the other game is more methodical, this will be more about making you think fast under pressure, giving you a lot of options, and you have to think right or left. Do I take out all these guards? Do you blow your cover? We we bring you forward all the time. So in that sense, the game is probably not as open. There are open moments, let's see. There are open moments, but there are some more linear ones as well. And it would always be done because in this game compared to Hitman, we're telling a story. So we need to kind of drive you through it. When it makes sense to open it up a little bit more, we do. And when we want to make a homage to what the franchise is about, which is sometimes very big stunts and cinematic moments, then we are going to be a bit more linear in that way. I don't know. I just think it's fucking hilarious that he pretty much just said the quiet part out loud. The whole, yeah, we got to tell a decent story when we're making a James Bond game, opposed to making a Hitman game. But I think that they almost have down to a perfect science in terms of how they're breaking it down. Like, we want to give you the open space to have your Hitman-esque free, slightly more free sections, free levels where you have kind of different possibilities, different outcomes of how to achieve the result that you're wanting to get. But we know that we got to linearize this a little bit more and like, yeah, you got to have the big stunts, the big motorcycles, the jumping onto a helicopter, the rappelling down from a building. Like, you got to have all the badass shit as well. It can't just be this kind of, sandbox where you go in and do whatever you want. None of it really looks all that cool, but it's like cool to have the moment when you put on the outfit and do the thing. But like, It's not this badass action movie.
Yeah, my hope is that they can blend in when then moments have to happen where he's entering into like a set piece and seeing like the villain that the whatever they're portraying and stuff like that, kind of like what they did in Casino Royale, kind of thing, where he's at the poker table and stuff like that. Have that in the Hitman esque DNA, but then when things go awry, I would much rather the DNA and pacing go to like an Uncharted esque feel.
Mm.
You know, when shit hits the fan, and have them set pieces and have them set pieces. Because this is the thing, like Uncharted, what we was talking about before a few weeks ago, whatever it was, with the even just the driving in Uncharted, it at its core is on rails, but they give you just enough wiggle room of freedom to make you feel like you, the player, are controlling a lot more than what you actually are. And I think that's what, if they can strike that balance, that'd be perfect.
100%. VGC said people like to replay the Hitman games and come back to them. Are there any elements of replayability in the campaign? I can't fucking read. That you're hoping to offer? And he said yes, in a different way. It's the DNA of the studio, so we'll always want to give you some options to tackle a mission, so that you will have to. Whoa, I really cannot fucking read today. Let me go back here. I lost my entire place. So we give, any elements of replayability in the campaign. He said yes in a different way. It's the DNA of the studio, so we'll always want to give you some options to tackle a mission so that you will have the hitch to want to revisit and go, oh, if I had accessed this room that way, or if I had picked that guard instead of tracking that one, what would have happened? So there will be some of that too. So that's kind of exactly to your point there of like just having a little bit more of that flexibility. He then said, or VGC then asked, I think something that would lend itself to options and emergent gameplay or gadgets, something Bond is well known for. Can you talk about how that presents an opportunity here? He said, in terms of gadgets, it's a big element of the arsenal of Bond. Obviously, you will have a wide array of gadgets that he gets served from QLab, and he will be using them in passive or offensive ways. Passive ways would include unlocking a door or hiding a camera, maybe eavesdropping on some conversation. And a more offensive way would be how you're using your gadget in combat to get out of a situation or destroying an fire extinguisher, and it gets all smoky in the middle of your shootout. So that's how we're approaching gadgets. For more detail, you'll have to wait for the gameplay reveal. So once again, just uh that this kind of all sounds like what I'm wanting from a Bond game, you know?
Yeah, it feels like they have their head right on their shoulders.
I didn't know that. So it's something else that's been discussed in terms of replayability is the live service element, which this game will have. Can you talk more about exactly what that will look like? And then he's saying like it's too early to tell right now. Right now we're just focusing on the campaign, but this is going to be a live service game. I did not know that at all. But I guess the Hitman because they're referring to the Hitman game as a live service game, so I'm assuming just adding new levels and shit like that. That's I
Um,
don't necessarily look at that as a live service, but it is, I guess.
yeah, they add elusive targets in where they're like they're targets that you get one shot at. So if you fuck up, that is it. That you don't get to replay that mission. That's done. Like you have one opportunity to do that. And then in the previous, you had it could be even something like this with Absolution. You were able to create missions yourself and then upload them so that other people could play them. So they have explored like online components before, and they're also finally as well. I think they're adding co-op into Hitman, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's also been something that they're talking about doing. So, and there was a
Nice.
no, there was another thing as well. I think they've added a competitive mode. I think I remember seeing from outside Xbox. I think they did it, unless it was never something that actually went in the light of day. They had where you were racing to kill the target, who could do it first. I don't know if that was ever an official mode. So take that one with a grain of salt. I don't know if that's what they did themselves, but I think it was official.
That would actually, those are pretty sick uh, implementations of live service elements.
Mm.
So
That
I'm
aren't
not
intrusive.
complaining.
as well.
Right.
Like they just overlap onto the single player component, which is how I like it.
He was asked about the budget
Oh
for
boy.
Bond compared to Hitman, where somehow the Hitman games keep getting cheaper with each entry, which is just a totally foreign concept in game development in 2025. And he was saying, look, if we went out and we were to make Hitman 4, it'd be even less expensive than Hitman 3, but we had to drop the big bucks on Bond. He was like, we're building this thing from the ground up. He said, quote, for instance, we had to build driving from scratch. It's not something you do.
Yep.
In Hitman, we had to build shooting from scratch, which sounds strange because in Hitman, or he said, but in Hitman, if you get to shoot, you kind of fail the mission. So it was not developed as much as it should be for a game like Bond. So we spent a lot of time a lot of time on that early on in development for the game. Then there's the cover system, and the way we use gadgets is very different. So all of that, has to cost. Obviously, I think let's see, I think the first game of every franchise is always quite a big endeavor. So I think this is really good news with a team that's that talented and able to optimize and have, such intrinsic knowledge of their engine and the development pipeline for them to now, they went in and fully created like a third person shooting, like fully fleshed out those mechanics. I assume they'll be able to use that for years and years on their next project and projects after that. So I think it's good that they went in there and actually fully fleshed out cover shooting and all of that shit.
Here's why like you said, the Hitman games got cheaper and cheaper to make is because they did the RGG thing where they reused assets a lot of the like they were building
Yeah.
environments from scratch, the newer environments, but all the bones of the game were just reused. So what that's also really good because if they're upgrading to make that feel much better, that can be something that they can implement also into another Hitman game if they choose to
Totally.
then do that. So you could expect some of these components driving in a Hitman game. That'd be cool.
Exactly. Yeah. And just having it'd be dope to make Hitman into, kind of this blend, like the majority of it be the stealth assassination thing, and then have a couple little sections in there where it is a Tomb Raider Legends,
Yeah.
007 Everything or Nothing kind of crazy, high speed, high action thing. Um, Yeah, and then he was asked about porting it to the Switch too, and he was like, "Yeah, look, we have a he touted their engine and praised their engine a couple times. He's like, we got an amazing engine, and it makes putting our games on as many platforms as possible pretty easy." And he was like, Nintendo has always been a great partner. Saying we put Hitman on the cloud version of the Switch one, but now the Switch 2 is powerful enough to run it natively. So they're going to be having a full release for 007 on Switch 2, which is awesome.
Oh damn! Fully confirming it. Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. So Switch 2, it's getting the big dogs, the third party. They're coming over in droves. I really want to buy that damn thing, man. I want to play that Donkey Kong game really bad. Every time I see people post gameplay of it, I'm like, that looks really fucking fun. I'd like to try that. I've thought about selling my Series X and grabbing a Switch 2. I just wonder about Fable. Fable is the only thing. Like if Fable's going to come to PS5 day one, if I knew that right now, I would go ahead and sell it. But right now, it's like if y'all keep that exclusive and I sell this thing, I'm going to be so fucking sad.
It does feel like something that they would probably end up doing. Like one in every like five releases, it feels like they just like, nah, we'll keep it for now. Just like, why?
Yeah, because Avowed didn't come over. South of Midnight didn't come over yet. I mean, they will, but like how long? I'm not going to wait a year for Fable. I'll wait a year for Avowed or South of Midnight. I'm not waiting a fucking year for Fable. But at the same time, probably
You'll
just
be
play it
playing
on.
Donkey Kong in the time.
I'd rather play Fable than Donkey Kong. But let's see here. Echoes of the End got a deep dive gameplay overview trailer. The upcoming third person action adventure game that's being published by Deep Silver. And yeah, this is looking like a solid little double A thing. It starts off with like this cutscene and then it's got dark fantasy tones in it. Um I'm getting a lot of Banishers energy from this across the board. It did doesn't look quite as good as Banishers, I'll be completely real. It doesn't look quite as RPG. It looks like scaled back old school action adventure, and I'm totally fucking down for that. Um, it shows some combat. It shows quite a bit of combat. When it first cuts to combat in the trailer, I was like, "Oh, brother!" It had very much a Soulsy sort of look to it. I was immediately scanning the screen, searching the UI to see if I could find a stamina bar anywhere, but I don't think there's a stamina bar. So I don't think it's going to be a Souls-like, despite how much fucking dodging on the floor and rolling around. And there's a lot of rolling on the damn floor, but I don't think it's slow. It's definitely a slow game
Yeah.
from the combat, but it doesn't look Souls. I don't think it's going to be a Souls game.
No, it's obviously got inspiration to some degree there, as all third-person melee action games have to some degree now. But I don't think it's going to be in that full wheelhouse.
Yeah. It does look fairly challenging though. Like every time your character gets hit in that first little opening fight, she loses probably 15-20% of her health, and then every time you hit the enemy, you only take maybe 2-3% of their health down. But that's also like that opening boss fight. I don't think that's real. I think that you're supposed to fail that, or you're supposed to, it like leads into some cutscene where the cave crashes in, and it doesn't necessarily look totally. I wonder if that's how actual boss fights, the health bars are going to be. I wonder if they'll be a little bit more generous in actual boss fights.
Usually, you probably. I think there's a. I think it'll be just as spongy. I think that's kind of their whole design, personally. But yeah, we'll see.
See, when it gets into like the standard enemies, it's much more 2018 God of War, Ragnarok, whatever. Like it's straightforward. You're a couple hits and those enemies are dead in 2 seconds. So I don't know.
I think for boss
It
fights that's different, like because it looked like it had a posture meter underneath the health bar, which is usually why they're so spongy.
yeah.
In the way of like when in Sekiro when you break the posture and then you get a massive chunk of damage. So you're doing crap damage,
Mm,
you break it, and then you get like a riposte kind of thing.
yeah. Yeah. I like that like it shows some of the magical abilities where you're able to like stun your opponent. And I think there's one where you can like force pull or force throw them. And it's a lot of that. There was the one where you're draining the HP from your enemies. So you're like grabbing them, sucking the life out of them as they're like levitating in the air. Their feet are off the ground, and you're sucking the soul out of them. Pause.
Sucking the dark soul out of them.
Please suck all of that soul out of them. Yeah, and there was like there's some limb dismemberment going on in the combat. Also seems like there might be some light platforming and puzzle solving elements where you're able to like manipulate environments and create ledges for your character to jump on and to get over to the clear the gap, cross over the gap that you weren't able to traverse in the first place. Like it's just real simple shit. You have like a little companion fellow who he has like light powers. He has energy powers, and it lights up doors and opens door. I don't fucking know. Whatever the hell fantasy
Do,
shit. What?
whatever fantasy jargon. Do they have a like a rough slated release date for this? Because some, I will say, some of this stuff looks good. Other stuff looks really, really rough.
August.
Oh, okay,
That's the game that you're seeing right there.
okay. I
Yeah.
I know I usually I'm the one that comes off a lot more cynical most of the time. That needs a little bit more time in the oven, man. I I think that needs a little bit more time in the oven.
It's interesting. Like so the top comment on the YouTube video was that it looked really slow. And so I sped it up to 1.25 speed. And when I did that, like speed it up to 1.25 speed. Is that possible on your end?
I think so. Somehow.
If, yeah, if you speed it up to 1.25 speed and then let that get into the combat, it looks so much more fluid, so much more natural. And I know it's just a slight uptick. When I put it on 1.5 speed, it looked a little bit too quick, a little bit too chaotic. But just that slight uptick to 1.25, and I know that's a lot more design work and that's not as easy in development as it is in upticking the fucking speed of a YouTube video, but it is kind of crazy just how much better the combat looks at 1.25 speed. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
it looks more fluid.
wow. Any of these third-person action adventure games that are not Souls games, I'm gonna play every single one of them. Every single non-Souls third-person old school action adventure game, I'm gonna jump into all of them. Any non-stamina bar dependent because there's no stamina bar. That's the one thing immediately. That's the first thing I look at. I agree. I don't think this game looks exceptional. I think this is going to be one of those weird games that come out and it peaks at like 785 players on Steam, and it somehow ends up being like my number 11 game of the year.
Yeah, because that's what I wanted to also say. I didn't want that coming off as being as negative as it sounded. Like these are games that we like. I'm
Yep,
going at it through the lens of trying to break into that more mainstream appeal and gain like actual lots of success. And like if Banishers didn't, and that was a lot more tight knit in
yep,
when you're one to one comparing this. And I know that it's unfair to one compare many games, but they seem to be doing fairly similar stuff. If that struggled, this really is going to probably struggle as well, unfortunately.
agreed, agreed. But once again, it's got enough of those trappings in there that are appealing to me,
Let's,
other than the fantasy.
let's put it back to one time speed for the next one. Though I don't think this one needs speeding up.
What's that?
I did the playback of 1.25 to show them,
Hmm.
and the next story I don't think needs speeding up. I think that
Got you,
combat's just
got you,
fine.
got you. Yes, yes, that combat's just fine. Um, yeah, listen, you see some open zone exploration. There's some things in there. The final, I guess you saw the final bit of so we've already went through the entire trailer?
I skipped through it
Okay, cool,
to
cool,
make
cool.
sure that they saw combat because in the beginning it was a lot of talking.
Got
Did you
you.
want me to go back to any particular point?
Did you see the final montage at the very end of the trailer where it's like the big ass giant? So you're encountering this big ass giant and it shows the giant like step on you and then it fades to black, but then after it fades to black it gets right back into the fight, but then after that it just starts splicing up a bunch of random clips. It's like just really weirdly edited. I would have this is, nitpicky, but I would have thought like you fade to black after you get stepped on and then you immediately cut to the montage after that. Instead, you get stepped on, it fades to black, you pop right back into the boss fight with the big ass giant that stepped on you, and then after that, it kind of sporadically cuts and then it shows the montage. It's not a big deal, but just a weird thing. And there is some cool shit going on in that final montage. Like there's some shit in there that looks interesting. Just weirdly edited.
I think I edited this.
Yeah, right. It's weird. Not great. But I don't think the game looks bad. So just wanted to put it on people's radar.
Yeah. Is this
Heck,
PS5 exclusive as well?
I don't think so. I
It
think
only
it's
had PS.
coming.
Well, that's not saying anything. PlayStation doesn't. It's on PlayStation's own channel. They don't give
Mm,
nods to anyone else because they're smart.
yeah. All right. Well, speaking of the station of play, let's talk about Yotei. And we got some good updates here. So I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty behind on the details for Yotei. I was listening to a VGC interview. Once again, VGC crushing it this week. Their shit'll all be linked in the description. But they did an interview with the creative director. Um, and I was listening to it this morning while I was driving back home, and I was doing like voice notes while driving. So anytime they would say something that I thought was interesting, and because I didn't want to fucking text and drive, I was just voice noting it. So this isn't a verbatim like recap of everything that was said, but I think I got most of the interesting beats jotted down in here. So I listened to the full interview on VGC. I read the bulk of the Game Informer article, so I think we're fairly caught up here. But VGC was they interviewed Jason Connell and Nate Fox, the creative directors over at Sucker Punch, and they were talking about, player freedom once again, and the idea of like your play style can be totally different from mine, where if you're motivated by just collecting all of like the most badass weapons, you'll be able to go down a completely different path and see the game in a slightly different light than I do if I just want to focus on the main story, which obviously once again these two paths they'll meet at some intersection. Like you do have to obviously see the main story, but I don't know. I thought the side quests were one of the weaker elements of Tsushima, so it's nice to hear that they really focused on that this time around to give you some sense of like when you're going off and doing your side questing, like it feels like it's something important, you know?
Yeah, I didn't mind them. I felt that they balanced them fairly well. Um, I I think you're a lot more warmer on Ghost of Tsushima than I like. I think it's a beautiful game. I didn't think much of the overall story, however, personally. It was a little bit cliched, but it did its job. I think the side quests did an okay job as well.
So that's actually the key detail that I wanted to talk about here with this interview,
Mhm.
where you and I were worried, like we were, kind of like, dude, this whole idea of being able to go and kill the six main bad guys in any order, like that's very Assassin's Creed coded,
Yep.
and without like real narrative structure, it's hard to have these huge narrative beats and then have that proper context and just the right level of emotional investment. So thankfully, the game director was like, look, you're gonna have more choice in Yotei than you did in Tsushima, but it's still a structured story with specific story beats that will have to happen at specific times. And it's not this thing where you can go and kill the six, the six fucking the Yotei six or whatever in any order. Like you do have to see this out in a specific manner. There's slight variation to that. We're allowing a little bit more agency freedom than the first game, but there is still a very, very structured story to where it's not just poorly written, poorly thrown together, like go in any order, see anything, and none of it really uh, weaves together. Like they were trying to get it across. It's like it's not Assassin's Creed.
I was about to say I'll just take the hit. It's not Ubisoft formula because you could do that in Breakpoint. You could end the first villain, the main villain, straight away if you wanted to, and it just is. And having the way that that's set up, it just means it's a very messy storytelling. And the same thing happened in Shadows. Like a lot of the stuff lost its impact because you give the player any. You can go and do that one first, that one first. Like when it's not structured in order, you don't have control over the impact of the story because they could
Yeah,
go and do the impactful thing first, and then they are
exactly.
stuck with lackluster crap for the remainder of it, and vice versa.
100%. Yeah, I was really happy to hear that confirmed, like verbatim, them saying, no, you do have to see this shit in some order. I like the idea of non-linear narratives, but I just I don't necessarily love entirely non-linear narratives, especially with this setting and the yeah, I want to see some sort of narrative cohesion there. But Jordan Midler asked a really solid question where he said something to the effect of, we're seeing the popularity of games like Elden Ring and Tears of the Kingdom, kind of explode. These games where you're just given an open world and told to go out and, piece everything together on your own and roam free. And the director from Sucker Punch was like, with Tsushima Oh, my bad. This is still Jordan Miller. He said with Tsushima appealing to more of kind of a narrative, preferring people who prefer strong narratives, maybe slightly more casual. How are you trying to balance that? And then Jason Connell, the director, was immediately like, yeah, we're gonna have your difficulty sliders. We're gonna make this an approachable game inspired by samurai cinema that everyone can go into. Like if you like your samurai films and shit, you're gonna be able to go in and play this game, which is like you got to know your audience. Like this is you're not trying to make a fucking like you have a really solid story that you're trying to tell. You want people to see that story. So I think that's a smart move on their part. Make it as approachable as possible.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I can't think of a single first party IP where that would fall prey to that. Like they like Demon Souls and Bloodborne, but that's FromSoft that they're contracting to come in and do that. Like all of Sony's first party stuff is very. That's kind of the DNA that they've built up. Is very approachable, story rich, driven. I don't
Yeah,
think.
Returnal would probably be the only.
Yeah,
Returnal's brutal. But other than Returnal and like maybe some of their older shit, yeah, not much.
because like that's also like that's a huge contributing factor as to why they balled the way they did. Is because anybody could really pick up and play. Like I remember talking to family members and they picked up a PlayStation and they played The Last of Us. They're not
Yep,
gamers. And they sat and they played through the entirety of it because they were able to do that.
yep.
And that got them in the foot in the door and they were able to experience other things and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's. I would expect nothing less. I'd be shocked if they were to turn around and be like, no, get good. Like,
Yeah, right.
it's a very expected thing of PlayStation Studio. Like, they're very accessible titles. All of them have been. That's a
Yeah,
tip of the hat to them.
totally. Yeah, it's like, there's room for that in the market in the more niche spaces or whatever. But like, I agree. Whenever you're making something that is trying to appeal to people who just like films and
Mm,
like good stories. It's like, yeah, well, I mean, look at Remedy. They got modes in their games where you literally cannot die. It's like, dude, we want you to see our story. We know we got the fucking chops for the storytelling. We want you to see it through. So it's like, yeah, give players talking about once again when you have shows on HBO and people want to go buy your $500 system to play the video game version of it. They don't want to wait for The
yeah,
Last of Us 2 to hit HBO. Give them a way to see it.
no, exactly.
Let's see here. Those are really the main beats. There's some other stuff in here like you can come across bounties at any time without needing to find the actual bounty posted. So if you're just wandering around and you see the dude and it's like you end up killing him or whatever, and you can go and claim the bounty later on. So there's like some cool, more emergent moments that can take place like that. And oh, I really like this question. Jordan Miller said, he was like, with games becoming more expensive, how do you rationalize or how do you force players to see some of the best content that you put into the game? Like, are you okay with them missing some of that side content despite how much it costs to create it? And Nate Fox said, we value the freedom and we know those moments of discovery are so rewarding when it feels like you found something on your own. And he's like, we don't want to make it to where players have to do this or have to do that. We want them to do what feels natural to their play style. And he's like, of course, we hope they see the best moments, but we know a lot of the cool shit will be missed, and you kind of have to make that sacrifice for the player freedom.
I think for them though as well, like I don't think much will be missed. With a type of game like this, when something cool happens, it spreads like wildfire, and it will go through the internet, and people will then discover it that way if they've missed it themselves on their own playthrough. Like they'll go back and go and experience something like that. It's that like the more dedicated gamers who are in them spaces will be doing that because it's the type of thing like that. I think that question was pitched to Miyazaki during Dark Souls 1's development and stuff when that became the booming success it was, and people were like, are you like worried that because you there's areas in the game that are completely optional that but there's a lot of effort put into them. Are you worried about that? And he's like, no, they'll discover them because it will spread by word of mouth, but also because we have faith that we've created them areas so well, you will want to go and discover it. We're constantly rewarding the player for finding things, so they're going to keep looking for more things. So I think that'll be the same thing here with Yotei.
And kind of to that same exact beat right there. He was asked about how long it is to finish the game, how long it is to platinum, and they were like, it's pretty much the same as Tsushima 1. Like it's nice, chill, 25 hours, maybe 40 hours for the platinum or so. So nice and respectful of the player's time.
Yep. And again, expect nothing less. A lot of the Sony first parties have achievable platinums because they kind of get people in the door for that kind of buy it. Spider-Man is a lot of people's first platinums, or Ghost of Tsushima is a lot of people's first platinums and stuff like that. Like they know what they're doing. They're very, very
Yeah.
good at balancing the time.
Infamous has a pulse. Not really. So while Sucker Punch was doing the PR rounds, they did an interview with Kyle Hilliard from Game Informer, who thankfully asked Nate Fox about the Infamous. And Nate Fox said, I would love to work on more Infamous. I would love to see a trilogy re-release, but Sucker Punch is a one game at a time shop. And right now we are very focused on finishing Ghost of Yotei. I I just want 1 and 2 remastered or just ported. It doesn't really doesn't even need much of a remaster. Those games are excellent. At least two is, I mean, two is top tier. I would kill for 1 and 2 to be ported. And if they could get ported, sell really well, and then Infamous 4 somehow gets greenlit, that would be a wonderful world to live in. But I kind of still stand by that statement earlier of like, I think these studios need to start working on new shit. Like it's time after Yotei to put Ghost stuff down for a bit. Let's not pick Infamous right back up. Let's leave Infamous alone for a little bit. Let's go on to make something new. Let's create new big shit. And right now with Insomniac is pretty much a Marvel studio with Spider-Man and Wolverine and the X-Men. They're pretty much booked up to 2040 with superhero shit. So it's like, does Sony really need extra superhero shit? Probably not. As much as I love Infamous, I'm down for just a port of 1 and 2.
Yeah, and they don't even need to do it themselves. Sony has studios at their disposal that could pick that up that
Yeah.
specialize in doing ports. Nudge, nudge. um,
Right.
so yeah, I don't know what would be good for them to make. Um, I would like them to do something a little bit more wilder because they've obviously put their foot with Ghost down, and that's kind of a lot more based in realism per se. I would like to see something in the realm of like an Infamous in that kind of octane level of gameplay and stuff. I think that could be really cool to have on their docket. But what that would be, I don't know.
I'd be down to see them make like a Western or some
Ooh.
shit where they've already kind of mastered the idea of the serene open space and kind of the taking in the vibes of a world that isn't necessarily full of great distracting fucking things to go and do around every corner, but just really trying to take in the vibe. I think they master in that, so I think a Western would be really cool from them. But once again, you're talking about I what I think is smart, Loon, is kind of what we talked about earlier. It's like, okay, you built the systems for the sword combat, you built the systems for this, for that. How can we pivot that into a new thing?
Mm,
Let's not totally have to go back from ground zero and take 10 years to build up our next new thing.
yeah, just try and be more smart.
Speaking of smart, Contraband, that's it. Contraband might still be in development. This is the game that was supposed to be in development along with the old Series X and was going to come out exclusively to Xbox. And as of a week ago, Avalanche Studios is looking for a product lead for the game. Specifically, they want a lead for its live service aspects, confirming it to be a live service game. That's from Insider Gaming. So, yeah, good that it wasn't killed. But I'd probably pause the premature celebration because I listen, this is just speculation, but I would assume what's happening here is the same thing that happened with the Romero Games game, where Xbox was funding it. They pulled the funding, and it was far enough along where they were able or trying to pick up another publisher to fund it to get across the finish line. I don't think that this trailer just disappears from Xbox's YouTube channel if Xbox was still partnering with them on it. Like that just doesn't make any sense to me. Kind of like the same thing with PlayStation and Knights of the Old Republic remake.
Yeah. Where like we said it before, where there's smoke, there's fire. That you wouldn't just remove a trailer for no reason. It's probably suffered something. It exists, but it's probably not under their banner. They just haven't said anything, I would
Hmm.
imagine.
Yeah. So I mean, hey, I'm hopeful because we need I want this to be extremely successful. That way Avalanche can take the profits from this and make a new Just Cause or a new Mad Max or a new IP entirely that kind of plays, looks, feels like the games that they make because they make excellent games. Asus accidentally leaked the price of the Xbox ROG Ally. I believe this was a leak that was like directly from their store. So, long story short, the little lesser powered option is going to run you about 700 US dollars, and the big dog is going to run you about a grand. So, if the price conversions, they could be a little bit off, but because it was all in pounds, right?
We'll quickly have a look because I
I
assume it's in the
believe.
docker.
Yeah, I think it was in pounds initially, and so they were trying to convert it, and the conversion rates are, it might not be 1000% accurate, but if the conversion rates are to be believed, we're looking at around 700 and 1,000 US dollars. So, listen, I understand people saying it's just a niche product. I totally get it. My only counter to that is like, what piece of hardware is Xbox making that isn't a niche product? Like that
Mm.
next gen PC console hybrid thing is going to be fucking crazy expensive as well. Do they have any interest in the hardware space on like a mainstream level anymore? Or are they just making niche products for the rest of forever? Like I don't know. That doesn't, uh, I was hoping that they would try to take a hit on this a little bit, but hey, I guess at some point you get tired of taking a hit on hardware.
I don't. It's Asus though. I think because when we were discussing it before, they're obviously doing the heavy lifting. Asus isn't taking the hit. They
Yeah.
it's Xbox is just putting their branding on it and doing what would seemingly be just software adjustment with having it. I think it's just going to be if you're running the app like natively kind of thing built into it. So I couldn't find the thing because the link wasn't in there.
Ah, that's my bad.
um,
But yeah, it's
but yeah, it we knew it was gonna. I always felt it was there was no way it was gonna be more than 1,000. Like deep into there were some people that were going, 1,200, 13. Like no, that's that's like high mid range laptop level. Like it wasn't gonna be that. It was always going to fall within that realm of margin. But what I've found is €600, €900 for the difference in things. So
got you.
it's yeah, it's going to be a hard pill for a lot of people to swallow. Um, I will be keeping an eye on it, and if it is like a well executed product, I don't mind paying that on like an installment plan. I'm not gonna fucking drop the whole thing on it all at once. But yeah, I'm interested in it cautiously, if that makes sense. Like it's not going to be something I'm going to go out and be like, yeah, man, day one purchase, let's go, baby.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm good, man. I just don't think there's anywhere where I'm paying $700 minimum for a fucking handheld. I'm interested in the console PC hybrid thing, but it's like if this little thing is going to be $700, like are we talking 1400? Like I don't yeah, I have no idea.
Um, yeah, that obviously that is a thing. What I'm thinking is, if I was to buy it on it, that would be used as. Do you know how people have? There's a lot of people who justified getting a Pro because they traded in the PS5 kind of thing. That's probably if I was to buy it on it, that would be the long term mindset. It wouldn't be something that I'd end up keeping alongside that. I'm just the thing I'm most interested in because I've already seen it in action already is the integration with the storefronts, and there's things that really do need tweaking, but it is working at the moment, and I like the way it's working, and I think that if they can get that into the console space, I think that'd be a very good thing.
I mean, I think it's cool. I
I don't know how they make money off of it though. What we've
yeah,
gone
I
back
don't
to
either.
of the thing of like I went and purchased a bunch of GOG games. Xbox didn't see a penny of that. I'm able to play them for like it's just a strange. I don't know. I don't know.
I've heard some people with the theory of kind of like the offloading, which is the only thing that makes sense to me, where it's like they're kind of getting people off their system and into other storefronts so that like the next pivot can be out of the hardware space entirely. I guess that makes sense, but it's like I don't know that corporations are that friendly. Like I think that they just kind of pull the plug when they pull the plug and don't really give a fuck about the consumer at all.
We don't have this as a news topic, but I'll drop it here. They dropped support for their film and movies without any like instantly. Like there was no announcement that there was a cutoff date. It just people noticed. Oh, you've announced that there's an ultimate game sale and there's a tab missing in the store, and then people started receiving emails saying, "Oh yeah, we're not supporting that anymore." Like they don't think like that. They don't think about feelings and stuff like that. The only way that that comes close to being a reality of a mindset is if they were just worried about lawsuits of people being like, dude, I have thousands and thousands of dollars of stuff and you've just ripped it away and I have nothing. Like that
Yeah.
that is the way that you can look at it, and that you funnel them out of your ecosystem and keep them on a PC app, and that
Yeah.
way that they can turn around and go, look, it's kind of like previous generations. You didn't get to keep everything from your 360 to your Xbox One, but you get to keep 60% of your library. Deal with it, kind of thing. And that way they're able to mount a defense that way.
That makes sense. That's probably the most logical scenario there. Listen, it's their fucking money. They can do with it whatever the hell they please. I'm really really curious because like when you're talking $700, $1,000, shit like that, yeah, you're gonna sell this thing to less than 100,000 people probably. I don't know if anybody's gonna buy this fucking thing at price points that are that steep. Um, I don't know. Curious.
Yes, it's
Very
interesting
curious.
because it's holiday, right? This year.
That's this year.
So it's
Hmm.
not going to be a long wait. In like I said, I'm cautiously watching it because I just want to see how it's received. I want to see how it actually performs as well. More importantly, because I've heard people they enjoy their ROGs, but there aren't many people out there that have ROGs already.
There's nobody out there that has any of it
So
other than a Switch 2. It's like that's the only handheld on the market that does anything. So it's like,
the Steam Deck as well. It's made a little bit of a splash, much more than the ROG has. But yeah, it's a niche product. It's not mainstream.
yeah, Switch outsold it in a fucking weekend. It's like, I don't know. It's just, maybe the Xbox branding will do a little bit of the heavy lifting, but it's like, I don't know how much weight that brand name really carries. Like for me, it kind of does a little. rather buy an Xbox branded something than a Steam branded something. But I think most people probably, I don't know if most people, but I don't know. Like I don't even know if PlayStation gets into the space if they're gonna have a ton of success.
I think.
Because I think
Go on, sorry.
no, I was just gonna say I think the reason people buy the Switch 2 is because you got to buy the Switch 2 to play Donkey Kong and
Yeah,
Mario Kart on it. Like there's not another version that you can buy.
and that's the thread I was going to tug on. Is if I was in Xbox's shoes to get this thing to sell, it's supposedly running all Series X games on there. Supposedly. Fucking brand it as the only place, a PC adjacent thing that can play GTA 6 next year. Slap that, like, be ringing up Rockstar daily and being like, we need to market this as the only place that PC players can play it when things get out and the ball gets rolling. If it starts to struggle, because you can't obviously market that day one because it's not going to be there day one. They tried to like do the little thing of like you can play Hollow Knight Silk Song on it day one. Yeah, that's cute, but that's not going to shift units.
Is there any world where they can say the only place you can play GTA 6 on the go? Like, but I guess maybe not because the portal you could theoretically do it on the portal as well.
Natively, the only place you can play GTA 6 natively on the go.
Yeah.
Play GTA 6 at the top of Kilimanjaro with no latency.
Oh my God. This is going to be rough, man. I don't know. I'm hoping the best for it. I think if it can launch at like $400 and I don't know, let's say 400 and tops out at 700 US, then I think there could be some world where it sells close to a million. But right now, if it is indeed going to be 700 and 1,000, 700 for the little one, 1,000 for the big one, I'm thinking maybe 75,000 of these will be sold.
They don't really disclose their stuff. Xbox do they? They're very smoke and mirrors for a lot of it.
Yeah, but Matt Piscatella every now and then can get a hold of some shit.
Well, I hope he shakes that tree because I want to know that like in the opening week. I want to know like how many people actually do end up biting on it
Same, man.
because this is obviously different. But we had so many people complaining about like, oh, I'm not going to pay that for a Switch too and stuff
Wait,
like
wait, wait,
that.
wait. Back up. It cut out a little bit. What'd you say?
There was back when the Switch 2 got revealed and people were kind of digging their heels in saying that they're not going to pay that much for something that's going to be inferior to, and then it obviously sold fucking shitloads. So that it's not going to obviously meet them numbers, but I'm going to wonder how many people who dig in their heels really do dig in their heels because we've seen time and time again of like sometimes people just don't follow through with their word. Some people buy
The
it, but that is a
the
fucking steep buy.
the difference is like apathy is the worst uh uh response. Like with Nintendo, it was vitriol, it was hatred, it was anger, but it was still an emotion. With this, I just don't really see any emotion at all. It's like it feels like this is just a product that's going to exist in the same way that, you know, the PSVR 2 was a product that existed. Like it just I I don't know. I don't feel like I see anyone ever talk about the PSVR 2. I don't feel like I see anyone ever talk about this ROG Ally thing. I don't know.
No,
It's
there's a point you don't really see it brought up in conversation. So we
yeah.
will see. Will it dominate the holiday conversation? Probably not.
No. Yeah. But hey, it's I'm hoping those prices are wrong. I'm hoping it can drop to like 4 and 7 and even at $400, I'd look at grabbing the little shitty one and fucking just grabbing it for
I
the
need to
like
look at their
retro stuff.
specs. I haven't looked at that deeply. So if it is actually a powerhouse under there, then I kind of understand why they want to ask for a little bit more bite. But it is again just hubris on their part. I feel
I don't know if it's hubris. It might just simply be like you said, like it's just Asus being like, I'm not fucking, or maybe Xbox doesn't want to subsidize any of it. They don't want to. Maybe it is just straight up, like you said, it's 1000% a Asus handheld with next to no Xbox like doing really anything on this thing, um, to eat a little bit of that cost to get it into a mainstream market. Maybe it solely is Asus taking this plunge.
Yep, nothing else to
I
add
don't
on that.
know.
We will see you come holiday. Is there a date yet, or is it just still vague?
I think it's just vague, kind of holiday, nebulous holiday window. Um, I'm curious. I really am curious. I at the right price point, I'd jump in. Like I do need one of these things. I've been waiting for one of these things. I'm kind of like I have some theories in my head of what I'm thinking about doing. I'm thinking about selling this laptop. Probably get, I don't know, maybe $400 or $500 for this. Sell the Series X. Maybe get $300 for that.
Get 50 cents for
Flip
that.
flip the Series X into a Switch 2 purchase, and then flip this laptop into a like a gaming laptop. And obviously I'd have to pay probably another, I don't know, $700 on top of that, something crazy. But it's like if I'm going to spend that type of money on one of those devices, why not grab a gaming laptop that can do all that stuff, have a bigger screen? I don't like handheld. Like I'd rather have a bigger screen like a laptop that I can just connect a controller to, and because I could sit on the couch and play a laptop, you know?
Yeah, yeah, probably.
I mean, it would be on my lap, obviously, or like sitting on a on the
That will
armchair.
that will burn your lap, but yeah,
You know what I mean? Have like a little desk
yeah,
tray that's yeah,
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 yeah. Of the two, if I was gonna give advice of what would be the smarter purchase, it would be the laptop because you gain. If you're talking that is potentially gonna be 1,000, this was 1,200. What I have,
exactly.
that's
Lightning
200
quick.
roughly extra, and it does everything that would do, arguably
Yeah.
better.
It just doesn't have an X on it. It's not black and green.
No, it is gray and black, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. It's because I'm also they're installing fiber optic internet in my area within sometime in the next year, hopefully. I see them in there. They're doing it. Like I see it every day. Drive by. I see them doing it.
Stick your
Like
head
they're
out of there. You
definitely.
done yet?
I almost stopped. I swear to God, I almost stopped. There was the AT&T truck the other day that was sitting out there, and I almost stopped and was like, "Hey, well, what's the estimate on this?" But I was like, "I don't know. I don't want to bother these guys. They probably got people doing that shit all the time because we live in an area with no fucking internet. Like there, I don't think that anybody around me is satisfied with their internet service. So like everybody, I assume, is clamoring for that information. So we don't really." Everyone is fucking struggling. So it's I assume they got a decent market just in this area of everybody is going to flock to that shit immediately as soon as it's ready. So hopefully it gets done sooner rather than later. But if that happens and I get a fucking beefy ass, gangster ass laptop that's, super fucking powered or whatever the terms that PC people use are, optic Razor RAM GPU. If I get one of the optic Razor RAM GPUs on that laptop, then I'll be able to do some crazy shit. I'll be able to do on the fly editing and all sorts of shit. So, and if the fiber optic internet, you upload these 4 hour conversations in like 7.5 minutes. So I think the laptop would just be a better use case for overall every scenario when you factor all of it into the equation. So we'll see.
Yep.
But that's the ramble and the reporting. It has been completed.
In just
Uh,
under 4 hours.
just under 4 hours. We hope you enjoy the rambles and the reports. Don't really have anything else to add. I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Stay out of the heat. Drink you some Gatorade. Get your electrolytes. your amino acids. Do the things that keep you alive.
Your fake proteins.
Eat your plant protein so you don't little bitch. Um, yeah, guys, take it easy. Next week we have the auction, which is another 4 hour behemoth. Where we got, I'm gonna figure out how to cut these damn things down. That way you're not sitting there dealing with multiple 4 hour videos each week. But yeah, next week I'll try to include only like the main big news stories for the Ramble Report. We'll hit those and figure it all out. It'll all get figured out one day, probably not. See you next week. Have a good one. Goodbye.
See you later.